Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be another episode of Reforge Gaming News, doing a review rundown. So many Elden Ring reviews. We want to talk about what does it mean that it's getting so many 10s. We also want to look at some of the performance issues that are being reported even after the day one patch. So we're going to cover all of that pretty extensively in this live stream. You've clicked on a video. If I'm not streaming it, you're watching the past broadcast. I put all the information right here at the beginning though for you, so you don't have to go searching throughout the stream for it. But if you want to make sure you're here for the discussions and those live streams, hit subscribe and the bell button so that way you're here for them. This is a Reforge update. The Elden Ring reviews are in, and they are overwhelmingly positive. There are some performance issues that we will mention and talk about in this video, as well as come over and give you a very quick review roundup. Also want to talk about what does it mean when games are getting a 10 out of 10? Does that mean they're perfect? In light of the fact that the day one patch is still not addressing everything going on. If you like these quick Reforge updates, hit subscribe and the bell button. That way you don't miss my upload. So GameSpot is one of the first ones we're going to look at here. They say their review is a review in progress, but they did give it a 10 out of 10, saying it is in a genre that has become wrought with bloated and over-designed games, Elden Ring is defiantly contrarian in almost every way. Its commitment to design by subtraction and to placing the responsibility of charting a path through its world entirely on the player makes it stand head and shoulders above other open-world titles. Many are saying even if you ignore the fact that it's a FromSoftware game, it's another Souls game, it stands apart as an open-world RPG game. This isn't the first time I have read this from many of the reviews that are out there. Games Radar gave it a 5 out of 5 and said Elden Ring is both a refinement and evolution of the Dark Souls formula, presenting an expansive world that's as hostile as it is inviting. Despite the occasional excess, suffering has never been as much fun as this. It's really difficult, honestly, outside of performance issues, to find negative statements that are made. The most notable review I think that I saw was the 10 out of 10 from Destructoid. They even said they very rarely give out 10 out of 10, and they had the following to say. To say I was blown away by Elden Ring is an understatement. Sure, it's still going to appear esoteric and unapproachable to a subset of people. There are things it could still do better in terms of onboarding, and it could do even more on the front of quality of life enhancements for returning Souls players. But as an experience, it's one of the most wondrous and open-ended games I've played in years. It has so much to say from a design perspective that people will be talking about its choices for years on end and playing it for longer. Lastly, I do want to take a look at the Eurogamer review. They said, Elden Ring remains a glorious game, one that established fans are going to savor for some time to come, and one that may just welcome new fans into the FromSoftware fold. Sumptuous visual design, dark and detailed lore, and a vast but intricate open world are reason enough to venture out into the lands between. So everybody is basically saying it's well worth playing, it's well worth checking out. So what does 10 out of 10 mean? Everybody's giving it a 10 out of 10. Most of these outlets will tell you 10 out of 10 does not mean a perfect game. The scale of 10 out of 10 is not there to say, you know, 1 is an absolute failure and 10 is an absolute perfect masterpiece. Generally, 10 out of 10 means that it is a masterpiece, not a perfect masterpiece, but it's a game that rises above all the rest. It is excellent, and that's why they give it 10 out of 10. If nothing ever gets a 10 out of 10, then what's the point in even having a scale of out of 10? Everything would just basically start hitting a 9. Well, then if 10 out of 10 is so unobtainable, then 9 is essentially a perfect score because you're merely moving the proverbial goalposts. So we don't need to get hung up on this, but I do think people are getting hung up on 10 out of 10s because it's not consistent depending on the outlets that you look at. When a game like Deathloop gets a 10 out of 10, and so does Elden Ring, you have to start to question, are these scoring metrics really worth combing over with such a fine-tooth comb? I think they're more of a barometer, a general measurement of what the reviewer and the general public thinks. Lastly, we're going to try to ongoingly cover the performance issues in this game. The day one patch is seeing still inconsistent performance across the board. All platforms, PS5, Series X, and PC are not getting consistent 60 frames per second, which is concerning for a game so drenched in very challenging combat that, where slight frame stutters and shakes are going to cause failure for some people. It could be the difference between success and failure. As always, if you like these short updates, hit subscribe and the bell button, and I'll see you in the next one. And I'll see the rest of you right now. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you so much for being here this morning. Make sure you are on live chat. Make sure you have smashed the like button, and then consider all the other ways of supporting the channel. Would love to see a lot of the regular lurkers, listeners, and chatters turn into members. Membership is something that starts at $5 a month. You can click the join button if you see it. If you don't see it, you can type !join in the chat, or there's a join link below in the description. That does support the channel directly, helps us unlock more emotes and features. We're setting our sights on 500. I'm always wearing a shirt from 80s Tees. If you like this shirt, use code LONO at 80stees.com for 30% off. Use the displate link below or in chat with the displate command to get a great discount on the displates. And don't forget, I am wearing Gunner Optics glasses. You can get those and help support me if you use the glasses command or link. And then the Amazon affiliate link below or in chat. Use that before you buy anything on Amazon, and it does support me. You don't get a discount or anything. And we're down to the final. We are down to like the final 20-something bags of the Frickmas blend. So get fricked in February. Running low. Use code GETFRICKED to get 20% off the Frickmas blend. Those are all the great ways to support the stream. Thanks so much for being here this morning. Let's take a look here and see, have we hit our first 100 likes? We haven't hit our first 100 likes yet, so make sure you're smashing that like button. Now, we will be playing Elden Ring today. Okay? PC can play at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I've got it installed on 2 different rigs just in case we have any issues. We will be doing a stream this evening to dive in head first. We'll do a couple hours. We'll check it out. It'll inform tomorrow's talk show. Tomorrow's talk show will be a sort of first impressions. We'll be combing over what I think, how's it running, are the performance issues pretty bad on PC. We will probably be switching most of our play on Friday to the PlayStation 5 because I'm not really wanting to deal with the performance issues on PC. Seemingly are causing issues more. It seems like it's happening more on the PC platform. Dominus Regius with 4 months of membership and a tier 2. Elden Ring has me dying of excitement. Thank you so much. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping your membership here and for doing a higher tier and for doing 4 months. Appreciate you very, very much. I'm more than happy y'all got a great game you were looking forward to, but we put up with your Game of the Year chanting for like a year before it even came out, and now it's only February. 10 more months. Sigh. Listen, the troubling thing is that Horizon Forbidden West also has performance issues that they still have not completely rectified. And now Elden Ring is launching with performance issues, which I do think sullies the Game of the Year nomination, the Game of the Year momentum, for sure. They released 1.02 patch notes. Yeah, I can look at those patch notes with you if you guys would like, but I also have a summary of what was said by the Digital Foundry. So Digital Foundry has found that even after the day 1 patch, there are still seemingly issues going on with the game, right? They're not necessarily, they have not necessarily rectified the issues. Barrier, where are you pulling those quotes from that are in the Discord? Is that from the thing I'm about to pull up, the Eurogamer? I got a Eurogamer article here. And let's take a look at it here. It says that the Elden Ring's launch has been marked by strong reviews. Now, the situation, though, Digital Foundry has an analysis in progress on the recently released 1.02 version, okay? They wanted to provide some initial thoughts. So Eurogamer here. First, let's look at the situation on consoles. The performance metrics we saw in the game's network test last year seem largely unchanged on PS5 and Series X. Both continue to offer 2 modes, a frame rate mode and a quality mode. However, even running on the launch day patch 1.02, the frame rate mode continues to run at a range of 45 to 60 on PS5 and the Series X, while the quality modes on each run between 30 and 60. Both machines run with entirely unlocked frame rates, and much like the network test, there's still no 30 FPS cap to even out the wavering reading in quality mode. The result, a highly variable performance for the quality mode in particular, where 60 FPS is rarely, if ever, achieved on the PS5 and the Series X. Now, this is extremely disappointing to read in light of the fact that both of those machines are pretty strong. Now, in comparison, PS5 is typically operating at a higher frame rate than the Series X, though clearly neither is ideal. The bottom line is neither console offers a consistent 60 FPS in the final release. That being said, there are workarounds for each platform. Series X is greatly improved by its system-level support for variable refresh rate if you have a supporting display, If you have a supporting display, they're saying that you can let me make myself a little bit bigger here, like I'm in front of the advertisements over here. They're saying that the variable display might help a little bit if you have a comparable television, right? Launch performance issues is expected if they're not broken unfinished like some other games. It just doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But in a game like this, it is a big deal. Frame rate issues in a FromSoftware game is an enormous deal because it will affect combat. It will affect damage registration, iframes, and everything else. It's actually a significant problem for games like this. A rock-solid 60 is extremely important, okay? Now, VRR helps minimize the perceived judder in its 45 to 60 range in the frame rate mode, creating a smoother experience, right? Now, Series S users will also benefit from VRR here. Given the platform's frame rate mode runs between 40 and 60 right now, it's a viable choice. Now, for PS5, PS5 has a completely different thing, right? A completely different thing as far as a workaround, okay? Hitting a stable 60 FPS on PS5 involves another tactic entirely. Sadly, VRR support isn't available on Sony's machine right now, but as a network test, simply running the PS4 application on PS5 clears up the frame rate to a smooth 60 FPS, okay? The trade-off, the game runs at a low resolution at what appears to be reconstructed 1800p and with lower settings in grass density than the native PS5 version. This is fundamentally the PS4 Pro code path using the higher power of the PS5 to hit a more consistent performance level. Even with these trade-offs, running the PS4 app on the PS5 is currently the best option on any console to achieve a consistent 60 FPS. I know Bloodborne runs at 30, okay? You're not understanding. You're not understanding. It's possible I'm not explaining it clearly, so allow me to attempt to do that. 30 FPS is fine if it's a stable 30 FPS. 60 FPS is far superior for fluidity of motion and immersive experience. The graphics not looking as if they're like juddering and shimmering like a slideshow. 60 FPS is superior to 30 in every way. However, when you are going to have a range of performance, 60 FPS to 40, that is not superior in every way. It is inferior in some ways. Number one, you're not getting a consistent performance out of the game. Number two, it can affect iframe and damage registration because the game is literally dropping frames. It can affect the actual combat, okay? So don't hear me say what I was just saying moments ago as if it's some slight, as if like if you play a game at 30 FPS, it's going to jack the game up. No, that simply isn't true. But frame droppage will affect performance. It can create problems in the actual fights themselves, all right? Now, the PC situation is also worth clarifying. As it currently stands, the PC version using the latest 1.02 patch has a number of issues that will affect all hardware configurations on all graphical settings presets. Elden Ring is FromSoftware's first foray into low-level APIs on PC, and the game uses DirectX 12. As we have seen in other DirectX 12 titles, there can be severe and distracting frame time stuttering issues. First, there are stutters of up to 250 milliseconds in length when new effects, enemies, and areas appear on screen. These types of stutters lessen as the play experience goes on and enemies, areas, and effects are revisited by the player. A second and more pervasive stutter appears to be tied to loading new game areas. When traversing the terrain, moving from one area to the next can also cause minor one-off frame drops a few times a minute, or at worst, tumbling frame time issues that drop the frame rate from a steady 60 into the 40s, okay? Variable refresh rate monitors using G-Sync or FreeSync help alleviate a level of the distracting nature of some of these issues, but leaning on the technology is not a good situation in light of how the console versions do not suffer from these stutters. Other issues to note are the lack of ultra-widescreen support, no support for frame rates above 60. That's actually not an issue. Okay, I want to point out something here. Eurogamer should know this if they're reporting on gaming news. The fact that it was locked at 60 frames per second is old news. This was something that was talked about. I believe we covered this back in November or December. That is actually not a problem. That's a choice, okay? That's a design choice from the developers. So that's not an issue. This shouldn't be included in this list. Like, lack of ultra-wide screen support and not supporting frame rates above 60 and unintuitive graphical options that lack visible scaling. Like, listing this among problems that the game is having, I think can be a little confusing. So I just want to clarify. I don't think they're being like misleading here, but I just want to make sure we're clear. The lack of support for above 60 FPS is not a glitch or a bug. That's a design choice from the developers themselves. We knew about this months ago. Okay, you might be disappointed by that, and that's fine. But again, solid 60 is better than them allowing you to range from 120 to 90 to 60 and all over the place, which it sounds like you wouldn't even get that. Fathom Rocker says, a combination of de novo and bad shader compiling seems to be the issue. Yeah, in this day and age, to have a game that's struggling when you're just going to a new area, that seems so old. That seems like such an old problem. That doesn't seem like a common day problem. People make the frame rate issues too big of a deal. In many games, I would rather have the graphics in a single player game. I completely disagree with you. I actually think 60 frames per second should be the industry standard. I think on new machines going forward, anything under 60, I actually think is inexcusable. I do not think games should be launching without the ability for you to go check a box that says, I want 60 FPS all the time. I believe that should be an industry standard. I believe with how far technology has come, with how far televisions and monitors and refresh rates have come, I believe launching something that absolutely cannot achieve 60, I don't think is excusable in this day and age. I don't. If you're used to 30, great, good for you, but the rest of the world's moving on, man, and 60 FPS should be the standard. Thank you for being meticulous when reading these articles. There's often a lot of sensationalism. I appreciate that. You think it's lazy of the developers to not go with 60 FPS as a baseline? I don't think lazy is the right word to use. I don't. I think it's a challenge, and I think engines, new technology, textures, rendering, open world environments are a significant challenge to maintain stability of frames per second. Okay? So, anyway, I even struggle with 30 FPS for turn-based strategy games at this point. I'm spoiled rotten. Yeah, it looks almost as if it's, like, stuttering. Anyway. As we've seen with other titles suffering from similar issues such as Final Fantasy VII Remake and Halo Infinite, it could be sensible to wait for further patches before investing time into the PC version of Elden Ring. So all in all, here's their conclusion. It's a bit of a mixed bag for Elden Ring right now on all platforms. Many of these issues could and should be fixed in future updates, and we hope that FromSoftware are able to bring the game's performance to a level befitting the rest of the title's quality. We'll get into more depth in future videos and articles. Stay tuned. So, I mean, at this point, I think it's safe to say this game is not where it needs to be from a performance standpoint. It isn't where it needs to be. It is not. It's not at an excellent level, I don't think, and that's unfortunate because it seems the rest of the game is at an excellent level. I feel similar things about Horizon Forbidden West. There are elements of Horizon Forbidden West that are not they're not at an excellent level. They're not in line with the game's quality. You know, the graphics, the storytelling, the audio design, all of the things they upgraded, the really great character animations and the advancements there. It's very disappointing. It's extremely disappointing. I'm actually curious. Let's see what platforms people are going to play on. Elden Ring gameplay. Where will you be playing? Right? Xbox, PlayStation. We don't have enough options to do like Series X, PS5, So we're just going to do Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. I'm curious where this community breaks down. If you're just tuning in, we're looking at the reviews, we're looking at the patch notes. It's not looking tremendous. It's not looking good for the fact that that there are noticeable and noted issues by Digital Foundry. Let's see if we can find the patch notes here to take a look at. I'm sure they're on either Bandai's site or FromSoftware site. Here we go. We got a Bandai. Are you at least 16? Yes, I promise, Mom. Let's see. Okay, so what we're looking at here is Elden Ring patch notes on the official Bandai website. It says, we have started distributing a patch to improve the stability of the gameplay. We apologize for the inconvenience, but please apply the latest patch before playing the game. When this patch is applied, the version on the bottom right of the screen will read as follows. App version 1.02, regulation version 1.02.1. Digital Foundry will make a review after the Day 1 patch. Apparently, Digital Foundry is already analyzing and reviewing the Day 1 patch's impact on performance, and it's not that encouraging. There are still issues with performance. Major items include in the latest update. Improved player... This is where I am right here. Let me highlight. This is what I'm reading. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you guys. Can we... There we go. That was a little small. Improved player controls, addition and adjustment of BGM, text adjustments, balance adjustments, NPC event fixes and adjustments, fixed frame rate drops under certain conditions, fixed test bug in some languages, text bug, fixed a bug that prevented the Xbox wireless headset from working properly. That's interesting. We have an asterisk here. Timing for the implementation of ray tracing, which is planned to be supported after the launch, will be revealed in future announcements. Okay. If you have purchased a digital version of the game, please apply the patch after downloading the full game. Now, I cannot get the patch to apply in Steam at the moment. It's probably going to be rolling out regionally. Game's not playable until 6 p.m. Eastern anyway. If you guys are enjoying the show, do me a favor, show me that appreciation by smashing the like button. Go ahead and hit subscribe. We cover all kind of gaming news here throughout the week. Lot of Elden Ring recently, and we're very, very excited. And every Friday we dubbed From Friday, and I'm a recent FromSoftware convert, playing through Sekiro and Dark Souls 3 very recently and beating both of them. So welcome on in. Thanks for being here. Update procedure on the PlayStation 4. Check for updates. You go and like press the button. You got to go to your library to do it. PS5, you go to Elden Ring, you press the option buttons, and then you check for updates. Update procedure on the Xbox. My Collection games, press the menu button, manage add-ons, and then select update. If an update is available, follow the instructions to install the update. This patch is also available in the digital art book and soundtrack included in the digital deluxe edition. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, but please apply the update file to this as well before starting the game. Thank you for your cooperation. So unfortunately, there's not much there. I mean, it's very, very generic, bullet points. I don't even know how many bullet points this is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 bullet points. And that's about it. On the Day 1 patch, the Elden Ring Day 1 patch that FromSoftware has put into the game. FromSoftware currently trending on Twitter, actually, 15,000 tweets. Everybody tweeting about it. GameSpot saying here, Elden Ring is considerably more newcomer-friendly than previous FromSoftware games, but that doesn't mean that you'll be without questions about how to build your character. Yeah, that's something we're going to try to focus on tonight when we play, and then when we cover the game tomorrow, is just early game lessons and things to think about, first impressions, things that you're going to want to consider as you dive in to the game. If you've never been here before, this is Reforge Gaming, and down here in the corner now we got this nice animation creature made me. All the pertinent commands rotate, so if you're trying to join, order some of my coffee or whatever, you can type these commands in chat. Everybody calls me Lono, and the name of the channel is Reforge Gaming. It's kind of like a video game radio show. A lot of people subscribe to the channel and throw me on in the background of their day. I am safe for work, so you can treat me like a podcast in that and have that confidence about what we're going to be talking about. So welcome in. We want you to take a poll at the top of the chat. In light of the performance issues with Elden Ring, in light of those performance issues, we want to know where you're going to be playing. Getting a pretty quick breakdown. Oh, wow. A lot of votes already. 411 votes in just a matter of minutes. Ooh, wow. 45% of you have chosen PC, so almost half of you have chosen PC. A little over a third of you are choosing PlayStation, that's 35%, and Xbox, 19%. Now, I couldn't put enough options there to be like Series X, PS5, We can only do 4 options on the poll. That's just kind of how it works. We can only do 4 options. So that is the 3 that we're giving you. Are you going to land on one of the Xbox consoles, PlayStation, or PC? It honestly seems like the PC platform is having the most trouble, right? It's having the most trouble. I'm not trying to create a platform war here, but it does seem that PC is having the most trouble. Interestingly enough, this is a little bizarre. The way to get the smoothest performance right now is playing the PS4 version on the PS5. It lowers the resolution, lowers like graphical and foliage density and some of those things, but it's the most consistent performance out of the bunch. That's what we read according to the report from Digital Foundry. Eurogamer reported on their report, so it's a report of a reporter of a report, but still, what's being reported is that booting up the PS4 version on a PS5 is the most stable frame rate right now. Now, that tells me a handful of things. Like, they can certainly work on optimization to achieve stable 60. If all it takes is loading up a slightly less fidelity version of the game, and then the PS5 is like, yeah, we can hit 60, no problem. Unless you got VRR. VRR is not fixing frame rate. It's merely making the frame stutters less noticeable, Mo. VRR is not a solution, by the way. All right, VRR is like putting Vaseline on the lens back in the 1950s. You're not actually, you're not actually fixing the problem. Okay, it merely masks what's happening, so it's less noticeable, right? Paul says it doesn't fix how it feels when playing the game. Yeah, you're certainly gonna still, I would think, feel it in the game. If you're just tuning in, we're covering all the Elden Ring reviews. We're also talking Elden Ring Day 1 patch and the known performance issues that are persisting even after the Day 1 patch. The Xbox Series X does offer VRR if you have a VRR compatible television, but that does not rectify or fix the problem. It merely glosses over it to make it less noticeable, which is experientially, I guess, helpful to some. I don't like stuff like that. I don't like motion blur. I don't like having an issue sort of glossed over or hidden from me. That's not a solution. You don't like foliage. You want to suggest greenery. We could say the plant life, the fauna, the flora. No, yeah, the flora, not the fauna. The flora. If you're new this morning and you hit subscribe, we want to hear from you in chat. We're a very interactive community, and we love to meet new people, so thanks for smashing the subscribe button this morning. This is what happened at the launch of Dark Souls 3 as well, if I recall. It took several days and patches to fix. Baxter says that's the same as playing a PlayStation 4 version of Final Fantasy on the PS5. It has the best performance and frame rates. So that's a known solution that people are running to. Interesting. As long as performance issues aren't as bad as Sony title ports have been, I'm happy. God of War could have been so good if it didn't go from 100 to 30 FPS. I didn't see any reports about that. God of War's PC port was praised as being quite stable. Did anybody else see reports of that? I might have missed it. I'm not saying that what you're claiming is inaccurate, but that could be specific to the rig itself. Was that a reported thing, that the God of War port was having fluctuations of frames from 100 to 30? Because I played pretty lengthily. I played 3 times, multiple hours each time, and it was, in my opinion, it was a rock-solid port. It was highly praised across the board. They said that AMD had issues. Oh. Well, I mean, come on then. You got to be careful, because both Days Gone and God of War, in my estimation, are some of the best ports to PC I've ever seen. They're some of the best ports I've ever seen. If it had conflict with AMD, that can obviously be rectified with drivers, okay? It was mostly AMD GPUs. Okay, well then hold your horses then. That's not a problem with the port. You remember reading God of War was rough at launch? No, I don't remember reading that. No, hang on. That's not what was reported. That's not what was reported. The reports were glowing across the board for the God of War port. What's good, Feed? How are you? If it had a conflict with AMD GPUs, that is not a porting problem. That's possibly a driver conflict or something. That can be addressed in with drivers. That is not a port issue. Horizon Zero Dawn was ported poorly and fixed over time. Days Gone was rock solid, and God of War was pretty dadgum solid as well. Issues with specific cards and drivers I don't think is indicative of a bad port. In any case, it does sound like Elden Ring gameplay on the PC is where a lot of the instability lies. That's where most of it seems to land, right? God of War is a perfect port, runs smooth, tons of options. There's a lot in there. As long as Elden Ring doesn't have the same issues, I'm happy. Well, I mean, I would say that if you're if you're looking at the PC version right now, you're going to have stuttering. They said that there's fluctuations of frame rate on console, but the stuttering is unique to PC. Okay? And the stuttering happens in a variety of ways. When you enter a new area, when you see new enemies. What up, Cheeks? What's good, Icebreaker? Yo, Feed, I saw you in the chat. I think I greeted you. Welcome on in, Feed. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks for 200 likes on the video. Y'all are the best. I think the FPS thing seems like a bigger deal than it is because most reviews didn't mention what could be game affecting and gave the game near perfect scores. Like, well, right. Is it a micro stutter? They're saying that it's a noticeable stutter, like you notice it, like the game like kind of snags. We'll be playing this evening, by the way, so make sure you're subscribed with the bell button pressed. I'll be playing this evening right when it goes live on PC. I got it installed on 2 rigs just in case we have any issues. On Steam, they announced that they fixed it. Check the news. That's incorrect. I'm reporting the news, and I read the patch notes, and I read a summary of Digital Foundry's findings after the patch. So I am reporting the news. The patch was announced. The patch was pushed out. Digital Foundry tested the patch, and these issues are persisting after the patch. Yeah, I'll be streaming tonight. 6 p.m. Eastern is when it goes live. Don't miss it. The most alarming for me was the frame timing issues. What frame timing issues, Eugene? It's going live today. I thought it was tomorrow. Live midnight in your time zone on console. It goes live 6 p.m. Eastern on PC. I am the news. Yeah. I'm not trying to be snippy, but yeah, I just want to be clear. I don't want... the last thing I want is when we're reporting on something like this is for somebody to get bad information and go running off and being like, I heard on Reforge Gaming they fixed it. It's like, well, no. They're addressing the issues and not fully rectifying them. I saw footage of the stutters. It's not random from what it seems. It's like little dead zones where the stutters are prevalent. Yeah, it seems like when you go into new areas, that's what the Eurogamer report indicated. You read them? Those are frame timing issues, Eugene? The stutters when you go into a new area? Is that what you mean? Or you mean the fluctuation from 60 to 40? Are you playing early access now? No, I'm not playing early access. It goes live at 6 p.m. Eastern. That's just how it works on PC. Magical Fat Guy with half a year of membership Excited to see, but as someone who's watching and not playing, as long as it looks good is okay with me too. Thank you for half a year, Magical. I appreciate that. If you guys have never done a membership before on YouTube, it starts at $5 a month. You get a badge, you get emotes, you get increased access in our Discord server. It supports me directly. We're trying to unlock another emote slot and hit 500 members. So if you've never done a membership before, consider pressing join, or you can type !join in chat. That's a great way to support what I do here every day. We run minimal ads. I run minimal ads. I don't even run the non-skippables, the ones you can't skip. We try not to overwhelm you with those things. And a great way to, make up for some of that is to consider doing a membership. And I love that name. Magical Fat Guy, you like that? Barrier's asking for 300 likes. Thank you, Barrier. Curious when those of us who got the pre-orders in Best Buy will get our codes. Yeah, I saw they're even discounting pre-orders now, like last minute, which is kind of weird. The thing that annoys me is there's not another developer that can release a game like this with issues, but still receive perfect scores. That's not true. Plenty of games have released and gotten like 9s or higher, and known technical issues are notated in the review with the anticipation of it being fixed, right? Frame time is different than FPS. You read them. Well, you're being weird. Eugene, help me here. I know I read about 60 dropping to 40. I know I read about stutters. Explain to me, what did I read this morning that talked about frame time? I read the same thing everybody else is reading. You're notating something that no one else is notating. Frame time being different than FPS. 9's not a perfect score, though. People love FromSoft. Dude, a 9 or a 9.5 on a game that has technical issues is not, in my mind, that much different than a 10. You're saying the game is excellent. The Euro article. I know, I read the Euro article. I'm asking, I don't know what you're on this morning, Eugene. I'm asking you to clarify what you mean by frame timing. Can you do that instead of you're typing like 2 words at a time? Explain it to me. I read the article. I notated frame timings is not... I notated it. Frame timing is not FPS fluctuations. It's hard to explain frame time in chat. Well, where did they talk about it in the article then? Oh, I closed the article? Hang on. I closed the article. I'm in the other one now. I'm in the patch notes now. Variable performance, PS5, Series X, FPS. Yo, Deadly Dad Gaming was 6 months. Membership coming back. This guy's complaining because he sucks at Souls games. You're saying I'm complaining because I suck at Souls games? Okay, that's fine. People watch me play them though. So is anybody watching you play Souls games? Let's see here. I mean, like seriously, in the grand hierarchy of power, somebody who sucks at Souls games having an audience, where do you rank then, since you're not that? Like, since you're using that as a judgment scale? I'm just curious. According to your own judgment scale, where do you rank? Like, if you play Samurai, it's Sword and Board. I'm playing it now. It's hard to explain micro stutter. Oh, so you're saying it's a micro stutter. Okay, so that's the section that you're talking about with frame timing? No, the other guy? Oh, I thought you were talking about me. I was like, why are you trying to slam me? Why are you getting mad or nothing? Because I thought you were insulting me. What do you mean? I thought you were insulting me. First, there are stutters of up to... You remind me of the woke. You remind me of a Reddit drone who can't think for himself and just quotes things that he read because you can't come up with original, intelligent, I don't know, maybe well-formed insults. You just run to, like, what, the woke? Do you use the word cringe in daily vocab, too? Okay. First, there are stutters of up to 250 milliseconds in length when new effects, enemies, and areas appear on screen. These types of stutters lessen as the play experience goes on and enemies and areas and effects are revisited by the player. A second and more pervasive stutter appears to be tied to loading new game areas. When traversing terrain, moving from one area to the next causes one-off frame drops a few times a minute. or at worst, tumbling. Oh, here's what you're talking about. Or at worst, tumbling frame time issues that drop the frame rate from a steady 60 into the 40s. Okay, so this is what you're talking about. The tumbling frame time issues that drop the frame rate from a steady. Okay, let me show you guys what I'm looking at. So this is the Eurogamer article. And in this section here, they're talking about the issues on PC. And Eugene says the most concerning part is this last part, if I'm understanding his point correctly. Stutters are making up for invisible load. SCTEN. I don't know what that is. I'm not super technically savvy when it comes to terms like that. I'll be playing Confessor. I like the Jedi-style class in games. Magic from a distance, then sword up close. How many hours you need to get into the end game? Probably around 30, I believe. Oh, he meant to put load screen. Stutters are making up for invisible load screen. Oh, like they've woven the open world together into like sections. Oh. The new anti-cheat's far more robust and may even be one of the issues for the performance. The anti-cheat they're using is known for causing FPS drops in other games. Somebody said that this morning. Is it de novo or de novo, however you pronounce it? There were folks concerned when they put that on the PlayStation because it causes issues. Some reviewers spent 80 hours to finish but didn't do all the side quests. Where's the best place to pre-order for cheap? I have no idea. Most places are going to give you a pre-order for the same price. De novo, right? De novo? De novo. It's DRM, not anti-cheat. No, but you can use de novo for anti-cheat, can you not? It can serve both purposes, I thought. My understanding may be flawed, so you could educate me in this. My understanding of de novo is that it primarily does DRM to prevent piracy, but can also be used as an effective anti-cheat. Effective being relative to the game, I guess. Love the circling framing around your camera. You like that? Creature decided we needed to frame me a little bit differently when we're doing these sorts of scenes. And gameplay as well. What build am I going for? Sword and Shield on my first playthrough. Sword and Shield. The stutters could be because it's compiling shaders. Right. The issue, so if you're just tuning in, we're covering the Elden Ring reviews. By and large, just insane praise for the game. 5s out of 5s, 10s out of 10s. However, there is a day one patch that is already in the wild for those that can play. 1.02 is in the wild, right? The Digital Foundry ongoing review of the game has indicated that the actual day one patch has not rectified the performance issues. You mean a quality build or a strength build? Homie, quality, I think, over strength, I believe. Wheezy says Elden Ring has de novo and easy anti-cheat. Oh, so they're using two different things. So they're using de novo and they're using easy anti-cheat. De novo is being circumvented in under 24 hours based on past games that have used it. So if it's adding to the problems, I'll be pretty upset by this. Wheezy, do we know, are they using the de novo on the consoles? I know it's possible on the PlayStation. I don't know if it's possible on the Xbox. Because that was a concern. We reported on de novo coming to PlayStation a while ago. That was last summer. That was summer of 2021 when we reported on that. Consoles don't really need anti-cheat. You think it's just Steam, Prodder 2? Very grateful for the stream. A bit of a respite in bad times. Yep, that's what we're here for. I know that, man, the world can get scary and it can get dark, but we're always going to be here trying to have the best time we can. That's right. Hey, the first new member of the day, Slow Mobius, coming in. Enjoy the dope badge and emotes. You are dope, and you deserve dope stuff. Thanks so much for hitting that join button, Slow Mobius. All new and present members, make sure you're hanging out in the Discord. We got a bunch of rooms set up for you. If you're trying to play Elden Ring with people, Lost Ark, Halo, whatever, we got a great Discord for you to come together, and you get increased access as a member. Oh, is this with your new thing in it? This is I got my wife this Ember mug for Valentine's Day. Ember, you want to sponsor me? The Ember mug keeps your coffee or tea at a perfect temperature for ongoing drinkability throughout the morning, afternoon, or evening. Go to embermugs.com today. I don't know what the frick their website is. It auto shuts off as well. She did some kind of lavender thing this morning in her coffee. That smells good. It's okay. Did you finish Forbidden West? We're going to finish Forbidden West today. I did one quest off stream. We got the final quest for today. That's what we got. Does the coffee come in K-Cups? Do not have a regular coffee maker. You can buy reusable K-Cups on Amazon. It's going to be better for you, like more economical, because you're going to be able to get way more coffee. And it's better for the environment. I'm not going to beat the environment drum very loudly, but I mean, we should be doing what we can where we can. However, it's better for you too. Like, as a consumer, it's more economical for you to buy reusable K-Cups, okay? And then you can buy my coffee. Won't finish Horizon Forbidden West? Oh, well. I'm finishing it today. Yo, Eric Ocasio coming in with a $10 super chat. Thank you for doing a super chat, supporting the channel with a tip. I just hope it's not going to be Cyberpunk-esque launch. It's not sounding like that at all, no. From all the reports I'm reading, it sounds like minor stuttering issues, frame rate, inconsistency. We're not seeing reports of a broken game. We're not seeing that. Great Ember Mug pitch. All you need to do is take a sip. Well, it was my wife, so I wasn't going to do that. I've got mine just in a Contigo that I use. I may have to return my copy until they fix the problems. You're going to go with a hero strength build. If you're just tuning in this morning, we want to hear from you at the top of the chat. Elden Ring gameplay. Where will you be playing? Xbox, PlayStation, or PC? 50% of you have said PC. 36% are saying PlayStation, and 14% have said Xbox. Well over 1,400 votes. What in the world is going on with these polls? So many people are stopping by the stream. If you stop by, smash like, hit subscribe, and maybe hang out for a little bit and talk to us. Thank you so much for being here. Just don't look in the direction of the big glowing tree and you should be fine. Yeah, I can't wait to see that patch note. We just blew past another milestone, 12.5K subscribers. What is actually happening to this channel? Jiminy Christmas. We are just blazing past every milestone you can think of. 11 months from Old Soul, and it's a tier 2. Welcome back, Old Soul. For the first time in a From game, I want to do way more magic. It looked insane, both practical and graphical effects. Brass Knucklehead, I'm going to warn you. Help me out, FromSoftware homies here. I think magic builds are going to be a little bit tougher. If you're brand new to the game, you better be careful, because magic builds are going to be tough. They're crazy once you get them up and once you get them going. But early game magic builds are pretty punishing. FromSoftware guys might be able to help me out here. That's my general understanding. Another new membership this morning, Sartaj Singh. Man, I hope I'm saying your first name right. Sartaj. Thank you so much. Enjoy the dope badge, the emotes. You're dope and deserve dope stuff. Welcome. Magic Stupid OP. Magic's easy mode, but isn't it more challenging in the early game if you're inexperienced? Understand what I'm saying here. There's conditions to my statement. A magic build in the early game for a newer player. Is that not going to be more challenging for them? I would think. Mick D09 with 2 months of membership. Welcome back, #1 lurker, he says. Thank you so much for renewing that membership. Magic can be frustrating for new players. You think Japanese devs seem to have issues with PC ports? I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that they're Japanese, no. Wheezy says Magic is easy for new players. Really? Really? Magic is usually hard early game and OP late game, says Julius. We're getting some different feedback here. Elden Ring has a major shift from just melee to magic. The game almost wants you to play with some sort of magic. You get interrupted during casting because there's no poise. The majority of faith spells are weak, says Dollars Trilogy. Distorted says, when you do this, I can't see. It's so weird how, why is Discord like this? It sounds like Strength Faith build is not the play for the first chunk of the game, as there aren't a lot of miracles early on. Don't think I'm going down that path like I thought I would. Based on what Skill Up was saying, there is more spells than there are weapons in the game, and you will have to try pretty hard not to use them because you get them everywhere, especially in dungeons. Yeah, I may do a little bit of magic here and there. I wanted to be, I didn't want to touch a lot of magic on my first playthrough. Harder or easier doesn't matter as much as whether I feel like I'm effing cool. Whether I'm killing like a boss or dying like a boss. Well, I respect it, right? I respect it. Guys, thanks for 300 likes on the video. Thanks for such a crazy turnout today. We are going to be playing the game today, so make sure you're subscribed with the bell button. 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll be here live playing the game on my PC. I've got it installed on 2 rigs just in case we have any issues, okay? So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We're going to be doing a lot with Elden Ring, okay? We're going to be doing a lot. I have plans to play it on all the platforms. I have plans to play with the community. We're going to invest. And if you want to invest, get involved. Become a member, get in the Discord, become a part of the Reforge community here. We appreciate it very, very much. I disagree, says Panoptic. Magic is very dependent on rings and knowledge of the locations of the best spells. Magic is for second playthrough. Now, it seems like that's not the case in this game, though, Panoptic. It seems like there's magic everywhere. Like, you're going to be using magic kind of automatically. Ironhide, actually, Elden Ring was D1 poise. Ouroboros already confirmed it, and I seen it. You don't have to worry. It's not like Dark Souls 3 poise, says Ironhide. Did Sartaj say anything in chat? Hey, everyone, glad to join. I'm planning to play on the PS4 version on the PS5 because I want the lock 60 FPS. Sartaj, I think I'm going to do the same thing. Again, help me out if I'm saying your name incorrect or correctly. I try to do that. I have a Korean friend that I've worked on saying his name correctly. That's something that I think is important. Maybe some kind of quality intelligence, says G Barnes. It was feasible on every Souls game so far, says Spartan. I don't know why you'd be insane. Muscle mages on Dark Souls 1 makes for some of the OP dark sorceries. There's magic everywhere. I can see people abusing homing soul masses. I'm going to do a pure spells playthrough. No HP, no end, all faith intellect. Does anyone know if there's a cross save across Xbox, PC, PlayStation? Where's the Discord link? Not finding it. Is Nightbot not responding? You can just type !Discord and Nightbot should put it in chat. Discord.gg/ReforgeTV. There it is. Discord.gg/ReforgeTV. Don't forget, you can also follow us on Twitter at Reforge Gaming. Brian, wait, no, that's not. Is that Laney? Set Xbox in New Zealand, play early, been on for 4 hours. Thank you, Brian Lane, for the $2 tip. I generally don't do that. I don't encourage people to do it either, but if that's something you want to do, that's totally fine. That's totally fine if that's something you want to do. That's not something that I do. We have plans for the day anyway. We have this talk show planned. We're going to finish Horizon Forbidden West, and then we'll be playing this evening on PC. What do you think of the Wretch? I think it's the worst. It's worst Vagabond. Wretch is for people that want to strip down build in the beginning. That's the purpose of it. I like how interactive you are with chat. I appreciate that. I don't think there's cross-save considering there's no cross-platform at all. Yeah, I don't think there's any cross-save, just to answer that question. I do not think. Barrier says, folks, myself included, have given the guy Discord link 4 times. Don't be one of those guys, man. Don't be one of those guys. You don't acknowledge the answer until the streamer gives it. Don't do that. Whoever was asking for Discord. We have mods. We have a super supportive community. You'll get your answer. Wretch is just an armorless vagabond. I hope you love Elden Ring. I've been waiting for a game like this all my life. Also, congrats on your platform. I love this. Thank you. If you've never been here before, we strive to have a very interactive style of stream. It's kind of like video game radio where you can actively talk to the host of the show. And we have lots of disagreements. We have passionate disagreements. I keep it safe for work. As long as people are respectful and they're not insulting and being nasty, you're welcome to hang out here. We only ever bounce people or ban people who are being nasty, like disrespectful to me or other people in the chat. Such a huge game. What will New Game Plus look like? I can't imagine there'd be the same amount of previous From games. Now, they have said that the New Game Plus is going to work the same as it did in previous games. I have my own theory. Okay, you were more telling, chat. I know you were, Brian. I have my own theory about their ongoing content plans. Hey, somebody ordered some coffee. First coffee order of the day. A bag of the light roast to Blindful Truth. Blindful Truth, thank you so much for the first coffee order of the day. You sound like you're from Indiana? I am originally from Ohio. I don't know what people from Indiana sound like. I'm originally from northeastern Ohio. Xbox platforms will have cross-save. Right. You're going to have cross-generational save, but not cross-platform save, right? Until I get a personal invite from Lodo to join Discord, I shall wait. 4 years and counting. How long did it take to get used to the controls? The controls in what? In a Dark Souls game? I didn't have any issues with the controls. I didn't. Viewership is all over the place. I don't know if it's because YouTube's messing with stuff. If you're having trouble watching the stream, I hope that's not why the viewership's all over the place. If anybody's having any issues, let us know. Let me check my task manager. No, it's not on my end. We're solid. We are solid. I think YouTube's doing something new with stream placement, and it's messing with the viewership in just wild ways. It's all over the place. By the way, dual-wielding straight swords was pretty slick for killing trash. Big Madmen, you won't have much problem. Similar to the newer Assassin's Creed as far as control scheme. No issues, smooth. Okay. We were having issues the last couple of weeks, and nobody has said anything this morning. Spot on pronunciation. I appreciate the effort. I wonder if there's cross-save between PS4, PS5 versions of Elden Ring. Sartaj, as far as I know, cross-generational saves should not be a problem because it's the same account. Like, it's tied to your account, right? I don't think it's like on the... Well, I mean, it would have to be cloud save. It'd be cloud save. What hair products do you use? I forget the name of the stuff I use. I forget the name of it. It's just like a styling... It's just like a styling paste that I put in when it's wet, and then once it's kind of been up for a while, I run my hands through it so it looks dry instead of like wet and crispy, and it's like soft even though it's like up, so it doesn't feel like hairspray crunch. Cross save should be a thing through PS Plus. Yeah, everything saves on the cloud. Every time I boot up Horizon Forbidden West, it's like syncing your cloud save, and I'm like, oh, thanks. I don't know. I didn't tell anybody to do that. That's just what it does. Hoping for keyboard and mouse is fine on PC. I played Dark Souls 2 and 3 on keyboard and mouse. Didn't have any issues. Don't want to go back to controller. I don't think you'll have to go back to controller. I don't think so. Arcane Gaming, we are not talking about that. This is a gaming variety talk show, and I don't know why you guys are coming in and asking me about that. Yeah, I'm just going to time this guy out because he's asking it constantly. Clearly not the topic of discussion, and if you want to come in here and stir that pot, you are not welcome here. That's not what we're doing. You're welcome here if you want to come in and talk gaming, but if you want to come in and stir the pot, that's not acceptable. That if you're trying to disrupt what we're doing. I hope Guitar Hero controller support is good. That would be interesting to play Guitar Hero just on a controller, just like pushing the 4 buttons as opposed to doing the actual guitar. I mean, I'm sure you can do. Can you do that in Guitar Hero? Is that an option? Just to like plug in a controller? Saw 3 times. Yeah, I'm looking up. It was in chat multiple times. People do that. They come in and try and disrupt what's happening, especially when we're having a good day. You know, probably trolls, people on alts. No worries. We can bounce them fairly quickly. That game is called Rocksmith. Oh, there's a game called Rocksmith where you need a real guitar. Oh, really? What do you think of Game of the Year? I think that I have said for a while that this is the contender for Game of the Year. I think it's their year to lose. I think Horizon Forbidden West is a real contender. I think Horizon Forbidden West missed the mark in a couple of categories that knocks it down to like an 8 or an 8.5. I'm extremely disappointed in certain elements of Horizon Forbidden West. Very disappointed in the graphical problems. I didn't buy a PlayStation 5 to play a first-party title and have it run the way that game runs. I'm very disappointed. My PlayStation 5 should be playing first-party titles with zero issue. I'm not trying to be some video game Karen that's like, I can't believe there's bugs. No, this is a first-party title on PlayStation 5. Pretty disappointed. And the combat, I have severe issues and criticisms of the combat in Horizon Forbidden West. I don't think it's that good. I don't. It's supposed to be amazing. It's supposed to be fantastic. And there are significant problems with the combat, in my opinion, in Horizon Forbidden West. So, I'm very disappointed in how the combat's kind of fleshed itself out farther I get in the game. Rocksmith is really cool. You can learn to play an actual electric guitar. Really? What happened with Horizon? I've not been watching because of spoilers. A lot of performance issues. Lots of performance issues. Weird glitches, stutters, pop-ins still happening. Just weird lighting. I literally yesterday after the patch, my screen went black, and then all of a sudden it came back, and I had all these people in front of me that wanted to fight me. It was so weird. You defended Horizon Forbidden West up until playing it, so I don't think anyone would think you're just hating on it. I mean, I think Horizon Forbidden West deserves an 8 to an 8.5. I think it's an excellent game that achieves greatness in a lot of categories. But I feel it drops out of a 9 to a 9.5. It should have hit a 9 to a 9.5. It should have. 100%. That should be a solid 9 to a 9.5 game. And it falls out of that category for me. Really, really does. I hated Horizon Zero Dawn combat. I just put it on easy to get through faster because of how tedious it was. Glad to hear that about Horizon Forbidden West. Had a lot of jank, though I did love it. I mean, I like the game a lot. You tried a melee-based strategy? This is way off topic, but I'm going to give you a very quick summary of why Horizon Forbidden Dawn, why Horizon Forbidden West combat is bad, okay? Here you go. You want to know why? Because it breaks into two really, really annoying ruts, and these are those ruts. You try to stay back and shoot, and you get spammed by range attacks. Like every enemy, large or small, has these crazy spammy aimbot attacks, okay? So when you try to stay back to do your range attacks, you get spammed. And everything Aloy does is super slow. Anything that's effective and good is super slow. You want to get close, right? You got close range attacks, or maybe you want to use all the awesome melee. Well, then you're going to get spammed by melee jumps, spins, and ground pounds. And there are numerous attacks where even if you successfully dodge, you still get hit anyway. Here comes the enemy. They land next to you, right? Because you dodged out of the way. They land, and then they immediately spin, and you get hit anyway. It doesn't make any sense. I dodged the attack. The combat rhythm in that game is bad. It's bad. I think some of it has to do with attack frequency. I think the way that the enemies attack, the frequency of their range and melee attacks, I think it's a frequency problem. They're attacking all of the time. All of the time. And stun lock. Laden within every fight in Horizon Forbidden West is stun lock. Aloy gets knocked on the ground and just freaking lays there. It's like, get off the ground. That's my quick summary of all of the issues with the combat in Horizon Forbidden West. It doesn't feel refined. You don't feel awesome. The epic moments are completely ruined by all of these things. Some of the biggest boss fights have turned into just absolute cheese fests because I can't get into a good rhythm or do anything in the fight. I have amazing gear. I know what I'm doing. I've played challenging games. I've played Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro. Like, I'm not some noob clumsily fumbling through like, I'm used to easy mode. Like, I know how to play the game, and I find the combat to be very, very unimpressive, which is unfortunate because it's a game that's supposed to center around really awesome combat. There you go. That's my summary. I don't want to be off topic too long, though. So, amazing story, amazing voice acting, great writing, beautiful world, great storytelling and lore building, just really creative and awesome. The combat is just not where it needs to be. Glad it's not just me sucking at melee. I thought it was me. We're getting off topic. Everything is dissonant, Zubair. Everything is dissonant. If you successfully dodge the enemy and you try to use melee, all of your windups and animations are so dadgum slow, they just attack you before you even get a chance to do any of the big melee hits. Like, again, there's something wrong with the rhythm of the game. It's the combat frequency. There's something about the attack frequency. It's like, I got out of the way, I'm going to try and use some melee. Blam, hit. I got out of the way, let me try this. Wham, hit. The attack frequency of the enemies is terrible. It's truly terrible. Everything feels dissonant. Every window of opportunity you have to try to do something awesome, you get attacked before she can complete the thing. I don't know. I don't think I've disagreed with you on anything more. That's fine. That's fine. I think the combat in the game has significant problems, and I think the only way around it is to play super slow and super cheesy. I don't think you can play aggressive. I don't think you can have big epic moments. I think you have to play super slow and super cheesy. And then the stun lock and getting knocked on the ground and laying on the ground as long as she lays on the ground, it is absolutely immersion breaking and combat disruptive to the point that, like, I'm only finishing the game because, like, I'm interested in the story. I'm not going in and engaging in combat with, like, yay, can't wait to fight this thing. B-Town Legend with a $5 tip. I'll be playing at 5 p.m. on PC. I'll post bugs in Discord. Okay. Arcane Gaming with a $2 tip. Hope God of War knocks it out of the park. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. Held back much? Has nothing to do with being held back, Big Mad Mo. That's a complete red herring non sequitur. That's not logically connected to anything I'm saying. Being in the engine that it is, using existing assets and the existing world and building it for both PlayStation 4 and 5 has nothing to do with anything that I'm talking about. There are plenty of games with immaculately, beautifully built, perfect, very rhythmic, awesome combat systems, and they're all on old gen consoles. Rushing the game? No, it has nothing to do with me rushing the game. I play off-stream casually and do side missions, and I felt the same way. I was like, this combat sucks. Like, what the frick? I don't know. Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima would be an example of an immaculate combat system that runs just fine on old gen. There's no being held back here in my criticism. So, if you're just tuning in, a little bit of a side rant about Horizon Forbidden West. We're talking Elden Ring reviews as well as the day one patch. Now, according to Digital Foundry, the performance issues in the game are persisting. They are still there, even after the day one patch, the patch 1.02, okay? That is a reality that Eurogamer summarized, saying that Series X and PlayStation 5 are still experiencing frame drops or frame inconsistencies ranging from 40 to 60 frames per second. Now, there are stutters and frame time issues on PC, right? So those are realities that are still in the game right now. He went 50% Cranky Panda. I was just frustrated, man. I was really looking forward to that game, and the combat's supposed to be really enjoyable. I tried every different weapon. I tried all sorts of different strategies. I tried investing in the weapons, leveling up the weapons, buying really good weapons, and I just can't seem to find a way. I was not doing the stubborn Lono thing where I insist on a particular play style. I was trying everything. I was truly trying everything and finding all of those things just laden throughout the fights. I wasn't doing the one-string banjo thing that Lono does. I know I do that. I get stuck on a certain strategy or style and I won't break from it. I was trying every weapon, every combination, and I found it to be very, very annoying. Thexter said they prefer PlayStation. Well, we're going to be playing on PC this evening because that's where we can play, right? And then tomorrow we're going to switch to PS5. I may even be playing the PS5... the PS4 version on the PS5 until they rectify these issues, because I want steady frame rate. I don't care if the graphics are if the resolution's a little bit lowered and like the density of the plant life is lowered. I don't care about that. I care about frames per second. Cranky Panda is not a measure of right or wrong. It's a measure of how scared my cat is. Playing Forbidden West, I only use the short bow because everything else feels too slow to me. I tried the short bow early on, and I felt like I was hitting them with marshmallows. I was like, I don't understand this thing. If that's the solution, then that's annoying because I've used almost every other weapon in the game. I don't know. I feel your pain. It seems like I'm always rolling in Horizon. I feel like the way I described it is, have you ever been in a dream and you can't run fast enough to get away from something that's trying to get you? That's how it feels like in Horizon. I feel like I literally can't get away from like 80% of the attacks. It's super annoying. It's like you're constantly on the defensive. And the traps, if anybody's going to push back on my criticism of the combat systems in Horizon Forbidden West by telling me I should play differently, then you're not addressing my criticisms. Or are you asking about the traps? Because that was something people always said, oh, you need to use more traps, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no. I shouldn't have to use traps, right? Yeah, the glue bomb's nice, but again, I've used probably 75% of the weapons in the game at length. I tried a lot of different things. If I gotta rely on traps and the glue bomb, that's very unidimensional as a solution. Surprised how bad the characters are. I think the characters and the writing are great. I don't get where people come from on that. Oh, you're asking if you use them. No, I don't like traps because you got to go in super slow and like set everything up. It's like I should be able to strut in there as a level 36 super strong character and just fight. I shouldn't have to do all this prep and trap laying if I don't want to. There's literally 6 skill trees, and I didn't invest in traps. I was like, I don't care about that crap. I want to go in and fight. I want to be a warrior, and I don't feel like a warrior. I feel like an idiot. I feel like an idiot that gets slapped around, and she takes naps halfway through the fight. Like everything she gets hit by, she like lays on the ground for a very, very long period of time. Whoever determined that that's how long she was going to lay on the ground, I would love to have a Skype call with them. Like, what in the world is the reasoning here? She's like a geriatric, man. It's awful. First game you didn't use traps. I never used them in combat. Was great. Yeah. You're fighting a human? No, I'm fighting the machines and feeling that way. Elden Ring tweeted some of their accolades in a pic. Pretty impressive to see it all together. Yeah, you guys want to see this tweet? Let's get this tweet up on screen. The reviews of this game are insane. Now, the one thing that I found to be odd was that some people were saying that there was too much reliance on like old stuff. Does that make sense? Still ranting, bro? You must be new here. Let me shrink myself here. Look at this. Look at this just insanity. Look at this insanity. Here, I know where I'll put myself. Right here. Right here. This is it. This is crazy. Those are all 10 out of 10s. Now, those are all 10 out of 10s, chat. Worship your Elden Lord, chat. I am 10 out of 10, according to all these review outlets. They got a must-play from Metacritic 97, OpenCritic 96, The Guardian, Daily Star, Games Radar, VG 24/7, The Gamer, Windows Central, NME, VGC. Is 10 perfect? No. Listen, let's be clear about something. None of the places that are giving this a 10 out of 10, right? None of these places that are giving it a 10 out of 10 are saying it's a perfect game. That's not a thing. That's not a thing, right? You have to understand something. If you're going to use a scale of 1 to 10 and you never use 10, then 9 is basically 10 at that point. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference? If every single one of those scores was a 9 out of 10, because that's the highest anybody ever gets, it's like a 9.5 or like a 9.9 or something. Well, then that's basically a 10. Do you understand? In essence, if you deny anybody ever using the number 10 on the scoring structure because, quote, no game is perfect, then whatever the next score down is, that's a perfect score. Do you understand the logic that I'm applying here? Like, it doesn't make any sense to be like, well, they score things out of 10 and 10 means perfect, when the reviewers themselves don't say that. The reviewers themselves don't say that. They don't say that a 10 out of 10 is a perfect game. They say that a 10 out of 10 is an excellent game. It's a must play. It's the highest recommendation they can give it. It would be like Warp 10 gains up getting a 9.99975. Right. Resident Evil 4 was 10 out of 10. Was it perfect? No, but it was 10 out of 10. Like that. You could think of it in this way. Let's say there's 10 categories that you're judging a game on. And in those 10 categories, the game gets an A, or A minus, or an A plus. But it gets an A every time. Okay? It gets an A every time. So in 10 categories, it's receiving the highest letter grade it can get. Well, that's a 10 out of 10. Do you see? This is why when Deathloop got a 10 out of 10, I didn't understand. I was like, wait a minute. Out of the 10 categories that you would judge this game, I feel this game has actual legitimate problems in it that would keep it from hitting a 10 out of 10. SkillUp's review touched on some of this stuff. My review of Deathloop was very different than his, and I touched on areas where I felt the game failed. It was like, I don't... This doesn't make any sense. Now, here's the thing. Are graphical performance issues enough to take one of those 10 categories and mark it down? Okay? Is it? Now, somebody in the audience might say, yes, it is. And you might give it a 9 or a 9.5. You would dock them points for the performance issues that have been reported. Day one patch has not rectified those performance issues, okay? So, you might, I think, make a good, maybe a winsome, maybe even a convincing argument. I don't see that logic, says Harry. If you think of it as an exam, a perfect essay would score out of 100, but no essay is perfect. That doesn't make a great essay that scores 95 the same as 100 score easy. But there are plenty of people that write essays and get 100 because, not that it's perfect, but the teacher determines that it's the highest possible, level of excellence that they were looking for. Like if I ask my daughter to write a short story at her grade level, and she checks all the boxes that I was looking for, and I give her a 10 out of 10, I give her the highest grade possible. Would somebody come back and say, oh, you think that's a perfect short story? I would say, no. Within the context of what she set out to do, she achieved the highest marks that I was willing to give to the short story. Now, you might say what Reese is saying, oh, well, 100 equals no errors. Okay, well, then you can't give this game 100. You can't give this game a 10 out of 10, because if you give this game a 10 out of 10, you're glossing over the performance issues. I don't think most review outlets take points away for... We don't see that, right? I forget grading in the US is different to the way it is here. 100 score essay is never given. 90 is extremely rare. Well, now you're getting into cultural and philosophical ideals about perfection, and is perfection attainable? Is, never, like, the idea of, this could even get religious, right? The idea of, like, you're never going to attain perfection, so why would you call people to strive to be perfect? You're never going to achieve a perfect score on an essay, so why would you strive to achieve the highest score possible when the highest score possible is basically a 95, right? This professor has never given out a score higher than a 95. Well, then you're striving for a 95 now. Well, then a 95 is basically a perfect score, because 100 is a myth. 100 is just like some legend that no one achieves. It's not real. It's illusory. It's immaterial at that point. It's not real. It's not obtainable. So what's the point? If literally every review outlet agreed and never handed out 10s, then 9.5 Black lead characters is why he thinks that? Is why who thinks that? Oh, I know why Deathloop got a 10 out of 10, but I won't say it. I'll say it. The review outlets were trying to win cultural points. I'll say it. They felt like it was an important video game. Was it an important video game? Sure. Does that mean it gets a pass and gets a 10 out of 10? No, it doesn't. It does not at all. That's not a good enough reason to give a game 10 out of 10. If I make a crappy indie game, me and a couple of people, and we strive for diversity and cultural awareness about really important issues, does that mean my game deserves a 10 out of 10 if it's got problems? Like, just because a game does something that's important culturally doesn't mean you give it a 10 out of 10. How is it important? It's one of the few games out there with two lead characters that are minorities, and people thought that was like really, really important and notable and should have been praised. And I agree with that. If you are prizing diversity, then that's the way you do it. You take an original game, original story, original idea, and you make it awesome. And they did. And the voice actors deserved awards for the work that they did in Deathloop. But the game wasn't 10 out of 10 by any stretch. It was not, by any stretch, a 10 out of 10 game. It had legitimate problems and issues in its design. And SkillUp highlighted a lot of them. I highlighted a lot of them. Not a 10 out of 10 game. It was not excellent. It arrived during a gaming drought, and it felt culturally important. So the reviewing press does what the reviewing press does, and it tries to strike a chord with the culture to get, claps on the back. I think people were generally concerned about criticizing that game because of what the culture does right now. If you're not, all you've got to do is look at the Lord of the Rings situation to see that even if you make a legitimate, thoughtful, educated, well-articulated criticism, look how it's couched. What the frick do you think would have happened if people did that with Deathloop? What do you think would have happened? Legitimate, thoughtful, well-articulated, thought-based criticism. What do you think people would have said? Or what do you think people were scared would happen if they did that? What do you think? What's the cultural climate doing right now? Ask that question. So, when you see all these 10s out of... Oops, that's the wrong scene. There we go. When you see all these 10s out of 10s for Elden Ring, the question has to be asked. Well, why did Deathloop get 10 out of 10? Didn't Deathloop have a bunch of issues and problems and legitimate criticisms? Didn't a bunch of people say that it got overhyped, overpraised? Are you saying a Deathloop wasn't a 10 out of 10 even though it wasn't perfect? No, I'm saying Deathloop was not a 10 out of 10 because in some of its in some of the actual categories of what it strived to do, it did certain things poorly and therefore deserved points taken away. Do you understand? That's the argument. Right now, the argument in question, since most of us here haven't played Elden Ring, the argument in question is, are the known technical performance issues in Elden Ring enough not to give it a 10 out of 10? Is that enough? My argument against Deathloop getting a 10 out of 10 is actual game design decisions, the game controls, the combat, the AI, the time mechanics is something that SkillUp really took issue with. Calling it an action game when there's one enemy type, like the Deathloop criticisms I think are valid, which I think take away from any 10 out of 10 you try to give it. I think if you try to give it a 10 out of 10, just say, well, that's just my opinion. Well, then what's the point in having reviews if it just comes down to basically your opinion? If you're not going to actually talk about, performance issues in the game with regard to not like frame stutters, but like the AI actually acting pretty dumb and doing weird things and being inconsistent and not performing properly. You're lumping a lot of people together and generalizing. What a big corporation does to pander doesn't reflect popular cultural beliefs. I think you're putting words in my mouth. I never said that. I said that the review outlets were afraid of what people would say, of what the culture would do if they came out and criticized this game. Why else would you think that Deathloop got media darling treatment? What other reason could you come up with? There wasn't anything about that game that made sense of why it was. Arcane is a liked developer, but they're not beloved like FromSoftware or I'm trying to think of some other developers that just everybody loves. FromSoftware is one of them. Most developers have kind of a sorted. I would say CD Projekt Red used to be in that category, but not anymore. Not after Cyberpunk. Not after Cyberpunk. Are they going to fix the performance issues on console? Oh, yeah. I mean, they're going to continue to push out patches. They're not going to ignore the performance issues. Deathloop went 10 out of 10 and was nominated for Game of the Year. Give me a break. Yeah, it got like 9 nominations. It was in so many categories it didn't deserve to be in, and it didn't win almost any of them. Maybe some people really like Deathloop. It didn't take issues with that you took issues with Deathloop. Deathloop was personally my Game of the Year last year. That's fine. You don't have to agree with my criticisms. The point is that when almost every single review outlet was giving it 9s, 9.5s, and 10s, and people are like, why is it getting such high praise? The game's not that great. Like, it's a good game, but it's not an excellent, like, it's not an industry-changing game. Like, this looks to be like an industry-changing game to me. This is gonna be a moment when you look at these scores. This isn't just coming out of a gaming drought of like, well, everybody's coming out of a gaming drought, and so we're just gonna like give insane praise to the one game that came out. Techland is a good company for a synopsis of overall quality. Techland, really? Didn't Dying Light launch with like all kinds of issues? There were definitely better games than Deathloop last year. Oh yeah, Returnal was better, Ratchet and Clank was better. It Takes Two won Game of the Year. There were plenty of games last year that were head and shoulders above Deathloop. In a year where almost no true next-gen titles released, a couple of the next-gen titles that released got absolutely shafted for seemingly no reason. It didn't make any sense. Returnal should have been sweeping the awards last year. It didn't because the review outlets couldn't beat it. Is there an easy mode in Elden Ring? Why are the journalists so happy? 10 out of 10. There is not an easy mode, no. And there was a really, really good argumentation. There was a really good article put out by IGN about how accessibility is not about putting in easy mode. Accessibility being like, if you need a colorblind mode, if you need it to be compatible with some of these controllers that are coming out that make it easier for, motor impaired persons to play the game. Been playing Cyberpunk while waiting for Elden Ring, and the next gen update is nice. Game is good as of now. I still think it's a pile of garbage, but I know lots of people like it. I think Cyberpunk fails at the basics of what it set out to do. At just the basics, I think it fails. Just boring, mundane, uninspired, and poor graphical performance on my PlayStation 5. Uninstall. Easy. Didn't even hesitate. Tried it after the update. Was bored. Could not believe how poorly written the dialogue was. Could not believe how just awful the voice acting was. And then it performed poorly. So I was like, yep, that's an easy install. Uninstall. I don't get why people praise that game. I don't. I think the dialogue is just absolutely abhorrently bad. And that's one of the central tenets of that game, is for me to be getting... I'm supposed to get invested in the characters and the dialogue trees. And the characters and the dialogue are some of the worst I have ever seen in a narrative-driven game. They are horrible. You don't let games like Cyberpunk just stop? See, I love the gatekeeping... Because I know you tried to do this in a comment, Robert, and I responded to you. I love the gatekeeping. Look at how much dialogue and how much investment and how much investigation I put into Horizon Forbidden West. I loved it. I did the same thing in Ghost of Tsushima. Sit and just soaking in the dialogue, the story, and the world. Cyberpunk fails at the most basic level that it's supposed to function as a game. It just fails. I remember in Witcher 3, I couldn't stream it because I wanted to sit there and listen to the dialogue. I wanted to have conversations with the characters. And I was like, I can't stream this. It's so boring for the audience. So this idea that you're going to gatekeep my criticism, be like, well, you don't like games like this, so you can't criticize it. Oh, you are just demonstrably wrong. I enjoy games like this when they do a good job. When the dialogue feels like it's written like by a 13-year-old and the voice acting is awful, just all you have to do, right? All you have to do is look at some of the cutscenes in Forbidden West, right? Look at some of the cutscenes where everybody's interacting. Aloy's interacting and the various characters are interacting. And then I want you to watch scenes in Cyberpunk where someone's like, we can't do this today. Who's supposed to talk next? We're all just standing around like a bunch of idiots. And then the one NPC finally turns around. Yes, we can. We can go into the tower. What the frick is happening? It's truly awful. I can't get invested in a story that feels like someone's sitting in a room waiting to like press it's like a soundboard. The conversations don't even feel organic. They're terrible. I genuinely don't get why people like, I know, like, people are like, oh no, it's good. You got to give it time. I really like it. I don't know why you do. It is Bush League dialogue. It is Bush League voice acting. Nothing about the narrative, the story, or the writing is at an excellent level. It's all so boring. It's so mid-lane. It's like, this doesn't feel like an amazing AAA company built this. Did you like Hades? I'm not a big fan of rogues, but I actually think Hades is a good example of great writing and voice acting, surprisingly enough. I love the art style in Hades too. I think Hades is a great game, even though I don't like rogues. Robert missed the point. He couldn't stream The Witcher 3 because the dialogue was good. Yeah, that's what I was saying. You complain about the dialogue in The Witcher 3? What are you talking about? No. Now you're misconstruing my criticism. One of my criticisms of The Witcher 3 is that I didn't need a dialogue tree for every side mission. However, I really enjoyed the main story dialogue trees. I've always said this. I've always said that when I was helping some guy with his goat, I don't need an extensive dialogue tree. But I loved the main story dialogue trees, and I couldn't stream it because I wanted to sit there and listen. I was even doing my own goofy Geralt voice to like mess around while I streamed it. I couldn't stream it because I was like, I want to sit here and do this. I want to sit here and invest in the story. If I'm just going to button mash my way through the dialogue, that's not going to be a good stream either. So I didn't stream it. And again, you're ignoring what I said about Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Forbidden West. There are plenty of games where when the characters and the writing are convincing and good, I sit there and listen to every little line they have to say. The other day, I sat for probably 25 minutes and did every dialogue option for Gaia in Horizon Forbidden West. But I don't like games like that. Get the frick out of here with that criticism. I like dialogue that's not written by a child. I never sat through a single dialogue sequence in Cyberpunk and thought, well, this was written by a good writer. This is great. This is really good. It's written by somebody who feels like they're trying to... It's almost like a 13-year-old who watched a bunch of Quentin Tarantino movies, trying to be cool and edgy. That's what it feels like. It feels like some 16-year-old film buff student watched a bunch of Quentin Tarantino movies and wrote the script for Cyberpunk. That's what it feels like. Just awful. Absolutely terrible. We're well off track on topic. What's your class going to be? I'm going to be Vagabond. Yeah, I'm going to do Vagabond. I'm gonna do Vagabond. People are encouraging me to do Samurai. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, exactly, Abe. Exactly. We have gotten, what is happening? We've gotten 2,300 votes on the poll. Elden Ring gameplay. Where will you be playing? PC got a 47%, so about half of you are going to be playing on PC. PlayStation is at a 37%, and Xbox is at a 16%. Now, just be fair warned, since most of you put PC, PC is where most of the issues are happening, or the more severe versions of the issues are happening. So just be fair warned. The day one patch has not rectified these issues. Digital Foundry is doing ongoing sort of feedback and analysis of the game's performance. They were actually asked to do that, and so they're letting people know right now the most consistent performance people are getting with respect to frames per second is they're running the PlayStation 4 version on their PS5. I wouldn't even call it severe. It's a stutter problem, unlike dropping at 40. No. Let's be accurate in our reporting. These are the PC issues. There are stutters of up to 250 milliseconds when new effects, enemies, and areas appear on screen. These types of stutters lessen as the player experience goes on and enemies and areas and effects are revisited by the player. A second and more pervasive stutter appears to be tied to loading new game areas when traversing the terrain, moving from one area to the next, and can cause minor one-off frame drops a few times a minute. Or at worst, tumbling frame time issues that drop the frame rate from a steady 60 into the 40s. So no, the frame issue is happening. It is happening on PC. It's in a different way. It's in a different way than what's happening on consoles. But the frame issues are being reported. Frame issues and lowering frame rate is an issue that's being reported on PC after the patch. Could it be because of VSync? No. Since it's being halved, dropping in the 60s and the 40s, it's maybe a DirectX issue. They're attributing it to DirectX, maybe. They're saying Elden Ring is FromSoftware's first foray into low-level APIs on PC, and the game uses DirectX 12. As we have seen in other DirectX 12 titles, there can be severe and distracting frame time stuttering issues. Doing a live Let's Play tomorrow. I'll be playing tomorrow, but I'll also be playing this evening. If you're looking for gameplay like as soon as it's available, I'll be playing at 6 p.m. Eastern today on this channel. So make sure you're subscribed with the bell button. So many people have hit subscribe today. We hit another milestone, so thank you for that. Make sure you're smashing the like button. If you've never been here before, name of the show is Reforge Gaming. I am Lono. We're here Monday through Friday covering variety gaming news. I am a safe for work broadcaster, so a lot of people throw me on in the background of their day like video game radio. You can subscribe in confidence. I'll be in your sub feed all week covering lots of different things. Horizon Forbidden West, we covered the new Cyberpunk patch when it came out. We covered Lost Ark, we've covered Halo. Lots of FromSoftware coverage, lots of Elden Ring. Every Friday on this channel is From Friday. We have big plans to do a lot of things with Elden Ring, so make sure you are subscribed here. And it looks like somebody became a member and didn't realize that their name would show. So the person that did that, you can go into your settings and change your display name. We've got a command. What's the command to help that person? Because they just became a member and it put their name in chat and they retracted it. Probably didn't realize it was going to do that. Or they just want to support the channel. Thank you for the support, by the way, and becoming a member. We're trying to get to 500 members, and boy, oh boy, this is a very different platform than Purple. People hit that member button over there like crazy. Over here, it's a very rare thing. And we're going to be getting gifted memberships soon, so that may turn some of that tide. This is my first time watching. This is a great show. Thank you. There's a variety of ways to support the channel directly, and those commands circled down here. There's the join like I just talked about. I'm always wearing a shirt from 80s Tees. We got our disc plates in the back. and I'm wearing Gunner Optics, and then we have our coffee. Keep in mind the coffee's not a sponsor. Everything else is a sponsor, but this is ours, and you can order it, and it supports like basically a small family business. My wife and kiddos pack it up and ship it to you. Yeah, I can't remember what the command is. There's a way to change your name. Hang on. What? We have a command for that. New subscriber, Professor. Thank you. I know we have a command for that. Do we not? Hang on a second. Hang on. Commands. I've got commands for the other channel, and it might be over there. I got it. Add com name change. So you can go to the top right icon, choose settings, go to add or manage your channels, create a new channel with your preferred username. Each channel has its own membership. So yeah, the guy that just did a membership. Yeah. A human billboard. That's right. 80s tees, Displate, and Gunner Optics. That's right. Well, we like our sponsors to get support. It's great to have sponsors. We appreciate them very, very much. I have a microphone sponsor we're supposed to be plug-in. I'll probably have to start. I'll also have to start doing that next week. And we got another sponsor reaching out about just regular, mentions like we typically do with our other sponsors. Someone has a bone to pick with From. These games are better. Red Dead Redemption, The Witcher, and God of War. I mean, who asked? It's such a weird thing, right? To admit to the world that you're an insecure person by having a sense of loyalty that drives you to try to take away from the success of a person or a product. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a certain level of like zero self-awareness to admit to the world you're an insecure person. If when you see a game doing well or a platform like PlayStation or Xbox doing well and you feel like you have to go knock it down a peg. All the people that were like trying to act like Horizon Forbidden West didn't look good or looked like a bad game. You're just admitting to everybody you're an insecure person. Like, I don't take people like that seriously. I don't. It's such odd behavior. Like, I don't care if a certain game or movie is very, very successful. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's take wrestling as an example. Let's say there's some big wrestling, night, and the viewership's crazy, and it's really exciting, and there's tons of people watching and talking about it. I don't feel any compulsion to be like, it's fake, it's boring, who still watches this crap? Why? It's not a threat to me. You got your second pair of Gunners yesterday. Love them. Got both with a prescription. Oh, thank you. Did you use my link or you're just talking about how you got them? Like, it's so odd. It's just weird. It's like, so because I don't like it or because I like something else, I have to make sure I go and like knock it down a peg. It's, you know what it is? It's the weirdest expression of FOMO I think I've ever seen. It's like fear of missing out. It's like you fear you're missing out on something good. So, the party at Dave's house. Yeah, I heard it was real lame. Yeah. I heard it was lame. I heard it sucked because you weren't there. I heard this game is terrible. It looks lame. Doesn't look any good. Why? Because you can't play it. It's just so bizarre. From someone who owns every gaming format, they're all great for different reasons. Sony ruled the last gen with incredible exclusives. Microsoft just leveled the playing field this generation. Well, they hope to do that. They haven't done it yet. You can buy up as many developers as you want. If the games don't come out and hit high levels of excellence, then it kind of doesn't matter. One review I saw claimed while the game is still a Souls-like game, it's more accessible. Not easier per se, but it's more straightforward. How do I donate money? Well, we thank you for using the super chat to tip me money. I mean, donate works, but we use the word tip. Thank you for the $10 tip, Arcane. Appreciate that very, very much. Dave's party was awesome. Yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's been going on for a very, very long time. And I mean, I look at somebody who responds to the Elden Ring tweet, and Elden Ring is like, hey, here's how you can pre-order. We're really excited. And this guy replies with a screenshot of like Red Dead Redemption, The Witcher 3, and God of War Metacritic scores. And I'm like, so you're insecure, right? You're an insecure person. You're not a very strong person. You literally had to go out of your way to like talk about how there's other games that you perceive that are better than a game that you haven't even played yet, let alone really seen fully in action. I don't think it worked. Try again, said Abe. Finally going to try out the coffee. Can't wait for it to get here. Yo, thank you, Chase. Did you order? Let me refresh here. We're working on trying to get some alerts. There it is. A bag of the Frickmas blend and a bag of the dark. Thank you so much, Chase, for submitting that order. That's 2 coffee orders for the day and a handful of members. Thank you so much. Did they say how much total content is in the game? Is it like Skyrim? If you do New Game Plus and extra characters, yeah, you'll be able to dump hundreds of hours into this game. There was at least, I think, 2 different reports. One was from Fextra Life and another that said they have no hesitation thinking they're going to spend hundreds of hours in this game. I heard that Elden Ring was harder from other software games because your boss encounters are not gated and the world is open. You run the risk of running into tougher bosses earlier. Well, there's good and bad that comes from that. Miyazaki said this will be the most completed FromSoftware game. That's what he said. Miyazaki said this game will be beat by more people than the previous titles. Not that it's easier, but that the route to success is a little bit more broad. You can go and level up. You can avoid hard areas and go into other places. And it's not like a linear corridor simulator where you have to go from insane area to insane area no matter what. Like you just got to go to the next area. It's not going to be like that. Fextra said that the world is 10 times larger than the connection test that they were part of. The network test, I'm sorry. It's the most linear game he's made. Right. When I say linear like hallway simulator, I mean like the old Souls games where like you kind of have to go through each area. You can't like bail and go back or go somewhere else. SkillUp said it's one of the easiest Souls games he's ever played, that he was one-shotting most encounters. It's so hard for FromSoftware fans to weigh in, though. It's so hard. You're so prepared to break down a fight and measure it on the fly. He also said because it's open world, they were able to set up more difficult encounters because you can avoid them or come back later. Skill up meant the mini bosses. You're not forced to keep fighting those bosses. Maybe you'll die a couple times from that happening, but then you can turn around and do something else. Right. It's a single path you can stray from a little bit in Souls, but this is their first true open world. For sure. Another tip coming in from Seeker of Justice. $15. Thank you very much. That's very kind. With everything crazy in the world, I just wanted to say I think you're super dope, and please know if you're ever traveling through Oki, you have a place to stay and break bread. Rest and stay safe. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, man. That's kind. That's a kind offer. Skill Up almost said he was over leveled. Well, if you over level, you can't really say. Well, of course, you're gonna be one-shotting. He also went into every nook and cranny and was one-shotting the random mini dungeons. He also said that he over leveled himself. Well, then if you over level yourself, he was over leveling his stats before he encountered those bosses. That's exactly what Miyazaki's been talking about in some of the interviews. You can go and get yourself leveled up. You can go and get yourself cranked up so you can go in and just wreck their face. Didn't I two-shot a boss, and everyone was like, how did you do that? And it's because my DPS was stupid. I was over-leveled for the guy that dies and comes back, and then you're fighting on bodies, and it's like there's fire everywhere. Nice Scorpion shirt, thank you. It's from 80s Tees. You can get this, and I got a Sub-Zero one as well. But you can use my code over there. Use the shirt command if you want to grab some 80s Tees. It didn't do it on purpose. It's the nature of the game. People are saying he wasn't talking about main bosses. He was talking about mini bosses. Skill Up was over leveled, and that's why he was first trying bosses. Yeah, we got to be careful not to yank that out of context, because it sounds like there's more context than just, it's easier, I was one-shotting bosses. You two-shotted the Abyss Watchers? Yeah, it was the Abyss Watchers. I'm pretty sure. Didn't I two-shot the Abyss Watchers? I went in and almost beat it my first try, and then went back in and just absolutely shellacked Abyss Watchers. Just smacked them down. My DPS was busted for that area. I was way too strong. I think I hit phase 1, I think took 6 sword swings. Like, my DPS was so high. He died so fast. There was somebody in the audience that was like, how are you doing so much DPS? We had done a bunch of, like, leveling, and we had just leveled my sword, and we had done some things that made me specifically, like, kind of busted strong for that part of the game. He specifically said he was over leveled because he was clearing all of the area before going to a boss. Kill the boss in 2 hits. 2-shot. Oh, you thought I meant 2 hits. Well, people are saying 1-shot the bosses, and I'm saying 2-shot, as in 2. It took me 2 tries, right? His praise of the open world because it doesn't have markers was stupid. But other than that, his review was solid. So he praised the open world because it didn't have markers? He's not talking about mini bosses. He was talking about the game in general. I just watched it. Lono's Skill Up also over leveled because he was going full completionist style play and finishing everything around before moving forward. It was both over leveling and mini bosses. Yeah, it sounds like we're having 2 different interpretations of Skill Up's video. One is that he over leveled and was beating mini bosses his first try, and Eugene is saying it wasn't just mini bosses, he was beating some of the main world bosses his first try. Which, again, if you're an experienced player and you're leveling your character very efficiently, I would expect that. I would expect somebody to be walking through the game fairly quickly in those early areas. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe he's just goated. I mean, again, is he an experienced FromSoftware player? Because if he is, that would make sense of why. If he goes completionist and he overlevels, he's going to beat a lot of the bosses fairly quickly. Easy, smaller bosses for XP grind, difficult but possible main bosses for progression, and optional hard bosses for a challenge. Sounds good to me. Are there viable stealth builds? Wheezy says he is. He's played every Souls game. And Eugene saying, he's a casual From player. Yeah, Eugene, it feels like maybe you've not fully captured that video. I don't know. Nobody's saying what you're saying. He calls himself a casual. But if he's played every Souls game, how is that casual? Like, that doesn't sound very casual to me. Now, is he saying casual because he doesn't do like 18 different playthroughs and dive into the lore? Or is he saying casual because he's bad? There's a difference between being casual because you're not like a fully committed Dark Souls tattoo on your arm player. But it sounds to me like if he's played every single one, then, I mean, I'd consider you a veteran player. He plays it and then is done. Would you say my efficiency and skill in Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro would make me a casual, or am I an adept player? I feel like even the most critical FromSoftware fan would say I'm a pretty adept player. Like I play well and I adapt and learn fairly quickly. So if I start beating bosses fairly quickly in Elden Ring and I'm playing pretty completionist, no one's going to say, oh, but he's a casual. They'd be like, no, that guy beat Sekiro in Dark Souls 3. That guy beat most of the bosses in Sekiro fairly quickly, all save the last one. I'm a casual From player. I think we're using the word casual in a way that it lacks meaning, so it's kind of pointless to use. He's well-versed in Souls games. He only calls himself casual because he's not super hardcore, but he's well-experienced in them. Yo, Rissick with a $10 tip. I can't wait to have the surprises of the game when I find them. Thank you, Rissick, for a $10 tip. Elden Ring is the first Souls game that he thought about playing through with multiple different characters and playstyles. No casual talks like that. Casual in terms of multiple playthroughs, he's played every Souls game and Platinum Dark Souls 1. Literally 1/3 of the people who have bought Dark Souls 3 on Steam have beaten the second boss. Think about that. Casual is a time investment thing to me. Yeah, okay, so if you want to say he's a casual because of the way that he plays, I don't think anybody would say he's a casual in realm of skill. I don't think so. Like, you're not a casual in terms of skill, Eugene. No, because you beat Sekiro and then you like strutted through Dark Souls 3 like it was a joke. That's not a casual. You're not that. No, nobody would say that that's a casual. The frick out of here. Aren't you just using casual interchangeably with bad? Casual could be someone who just plays the game to enjoy them and then done. Right, but Harry, in the context of the discussion, referring to skill up as a casual as if that's some kind of a marker against the difficulty of Elden Ring. Do you understand why I'm pushing back against it? Within the context of the conversation and the way that it was being used, it was sounding like, but he's just a casual. He's not even that good. Do you see why I pushed back? If he's beaten every single Souls game and he was strutting around Elden Ring and whooping on bosses, then you wouldn't describe that as casual. You'd be like, no, you're a veteran. You know what the frick you're doing. You are an adept player. Of course you're whooping the game. You've whooped all the ones before now. That's not a casual. Just because you're playing less than the guys who have names like Ashen Hollow. You see what I'm saying? You can't be a casual player that is beating the game. I was only pushing... Casual is obviously subjective to the game and the conversation. Because we always talked about this in the game that I used to cover. I said, you can be casual in your time investment, but hardcore in your spirit. Because there are people that play games only a couple hours a week because that's all they've got, but they go for the hardcore stuff. They go for the end game content. They're in the raids, but they're not playing for 6 hours a day. So they're casual if you check their time investment, but they're hardcore in their spirit. Do you see what I mean? I am by definition a casual Souls player. That's what I'm saying. I'm here, what did I do? Like, in the context, when Eugene referred to him as a casual player, it was to give this inclination or this image of like, yeah, he's casual. He's not even a really hardcore guy. He's not even that good. Like, but at the same time, that doesn't seem to fit with what he's done as a player. You beat every single Souls game. Ain't nobody calling you casual. The frick? It's relative to who are you comparing him to? If you're comparing him to the player base at large, then he's not casual. Because the gaming populace at large has not beat every Souls game. He's in a very small category of people. I'm very casual compared to a lot of the hardcore players. I play through once or twice, do my PvP, then I'm done. Skillup refers to himself as casual. That's fine. That's fine. But that doesn't mean he's referring to himself as a casual in the realm of skill. That doesn't mean. I have a 1-year-old, so I'm casual with my playtime, but I'm a gritty Souls vet. I know what I'm doing and the path that I'm going to take. Yeah, like, there ain't no... So you... Like Skillup can refer to himself as casual, but he went into this game knowing what he was doing. Played completionist and was whooping bosses. Come on. That's not a casual. That's you're a veteran player. You're like what Devin just outlined. Your life doesn't line up with constantly playing Souls games. But when you play them, boy oh boy, you throw down, you know what you're doing. That's what I said. Just a couple of hours at a time whenever you find time in your day. I got kids and a wife who desire my attention, so I can't lock it in for 10 hours a day. It's not possible for me. Right. Right. That's what I care about, though, I guess. I just think there's a ceiling on difficulty, Eugene. There's a ceiling on difficulty. You can only make games so hard. You can only make them so hard. If you go beyond where probably a lot of these boss fights go, it's just going to be an exercise in absurdity. There are mathematical realities. There's reaction time. There's precision. There's just basic reflexes in the average human being. A fight can only be so difficult before you're getting into the theater of the absurd. And given that reality, I think a lot of people are probably going to find that their skill level has them extremely close to that ceiling, which means you're not going to feel like you're being pressed in on as much as you maybe would like. I don't want to find out that it's the easiest Souls. Like, he's played when the whole point of the game for me is challenging bosses. So now I have to decide between exploration or forcing myself to stay underleveled. I have to play the game in an unnatural way to get what I want out of it. Casual has no bearing on how good you actually are at a game. It's about your approach. I kind of agree with you, Cringe Master. Again, in the context of the discussion, I was like, hang on just a frickin' minute. We don't want to summarize Skillup as some, like, not good player. He may not play hardcore, but he certainly knows what he's doing. He sounds to me like a skilled Souls player. If you're doing research and trying to find optimal builds and routes through a game, you're taking a more hardcore, serious intent of a playthrough. It's like Assassin's Creed. If you search around and do all the side stuff, then the main quest will be easy. You follow the main quest only, and it'll be hard. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been doing in Horizon Forbidden West, and it certainly impacts how challenging stuff is. We need a Reforge wiki that provides definitions and summary snippets of all the terms and definitions within these discussions. Yeah, that's right. Dude reviews video games for a living. Of course, he's a good player. Well, not necessarily. There are plenty of people that do that are not that great. They write for some of the outlets we read today. That was the second half of a message, if you're confused as to what I was on about. To me, the word casual relates to the intent when playing the game. If you play the game with the intent to just play through as it goes and enjoy it, that's a casual outlook on the game. Yeah, I think we're getting lost in the weeds here. My pushback on the use of the word casual in that particular discussion was that it was implying he's not very good. That's the implication that was out there in the water, and I was like, no. He's good. He is an adept player. being an adept player is going to have a significant influence on how quickly he beats the game and the bosses, especially if he's playing completionist. Now that we've concluded that, I agree with what Eugene is saying to a degree. If you play in an organic, exploratory way, you're likely to have a similar experience to skill up. You're going to go into fights and you're going to be particularly strong. And you might find those fights to be easier because of that. Distorted says, we're talking about how experienced he is in the franchise, not his time investment, and in that he is not casual. He knows exactly what he's doing and needs to do. Yeah, so many of those early game lessons, so many of those early game losses, he's just not going to have those experiences. He just clarified that him one-shotting bosses was not because he was really good, it was due to over-leveling. That's it. I refuse to believe that he's not very good. I think he's being modest. You don't beat every Souls game in existence and then claim that you're not very good. I refuse to. I don't accept that. I don't accept that. If you've beat every FromSoftware game that's available, and then you try and turn around and tell me you're not very good, I'm gonna be like, yeah, thanks for the false humility. That's bullcrap, and you know it. You're in like one of the tiny. You're in a super small percentage. That's a small percentage of the gaming world. Beating every FromSoftware game. Yeah, but I'm not very good. Yeah, doubt. If every game took you 3 to 5 years, then I might believe you. Someone that is over-exploring an area is not a casual. Some people like to over-explore and smash bosses. Some people like to run at minimum level and get smashed. You can do both. If it's like other Souls games, it will get harder with New Game Plus, so it's a weird dichotomy. Right, I think that's probably what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to go to New Game Plus to have that experience. Over-exploring is not a casual component of an open-world game. We can't agree on these terms. It all becomes subjective. Can we move on? No. This is part of what a discussion does. A discussion seeks clarity, and seeking clarity sometimes means defining a term within the conversation or using different terms so that we can have clarity. I think maybe shifting this discussion from skill up back to the actual game, to be completely fair, I would play the game like that and 100% explore everything before clearing an area. Yeah, me too. You going to play it today? Yes, this evening at 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you're subscribed with that bell button pressed. Even Sekiro, I played it through New Game Plus 5. Poll? We'll just leave the poll up. It's got crazy results. 2,500 results. Elden Ring gameplay. Where will you be playing? PC is running away with it. PC is also where they're seemingly having... It seems like they're having more trouble ironing out those problems. You can be hardcore and still be bad at a game. Yeah, that's also true. There are people that were in here watching me play through Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro and they were hardcore players. And they were like, you're beating it way faster than I did. That's just the nature of gaming, right? Some people just have innate natural skill levels that vary. Like I have always considered myself to be on the hemisphere of skill in video games. I'm not at the top. I'm definitely not in the middle. I'm somewhere in between. That's my best summary of where I land on games like this. I'm certainly not at the top. I know I'm not in the middle. I'm not like an average gamer. But I'm somewhere in the middle, depending on the game I'm playing. I always thought I was average, and I'm finding out that's not the case. Yeah, if you're playing games like Sekiro and then, going in and beating, Nameless King your first try, I would say that's not the case. No, you're not average. That you are in a very small percentage of players. Can't believe the optimization PS5 over the other platforms when most don't have a PS5. Well, you're not representing the situation accurately, Crowded House. They've not optimized the game to run better on the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 has to use a loophole to get the most stable performance. The PlayStation 5 can run the PS4 version of the game to get more stable frame performance because you're playing a game that's less demanding, lower resolution, and less density in the plant life. Since people don't like me saying foliage. Skillup's the only person I have seen complain about one-shotting bosses. He's an outlier. All the other reviewers were exploring a lot and still finding the game difficult. A lot of the other reviewers are probably better representations of the gaming world at large. Have the game reviewers confirmed that the game's a masterpiece? Seems like it. He wasn't complaining? Yeah, I don't think he was complaining. I think his feedback is causing Eugene to feel concern. Like, Eugene's like, am I going to fly through this game? So SkillUp didn't complain, let's be clear. Flora is better than foliage. I think maybe something people are missing is that there are going to be tons of players that don't come in knowing how to do how a Souls games work. They'll be destroyed and kicked in the face and not like it. Did you play the CNT? No. He was explaining why he felt it was the easiest of the Souls series. Yeah, he was trying to add argumentation and support to his idea that it was the easiest in the Souls franchise. That's correct. We need to be clear about something here. He was not complaining. He was saying, hey, this is probably going to be the easiest one. Now listen, what he's saying is not at odds with anything Miyazaki said. Miyazaki said that this game will be completed by more players than all previous FromSoftware games. Miyazaki also said that this game will be more approachable because of its open world category, and that you can go explore and take a different route if an area or a boss is too hard. None of that is at odds with what SkillUp has said. SkillUp has said, I went hardcore exploratory, and it made the game easier. I beat bosses quickly. All of those things, all signs point to that's in line with, that is a corroborating testimony for what Miyazaki said to expect in the game. They only gave the CNT copy to YouTubers who would upload a lot of FromSoftware content and have a lot of subs, so they would put out their gameplay and their opinions. So you think they only gave people access to the technical test based on that? Because I know people that got into the technical test that don't hit those qualifications. So your argument's been falsified. And therefore is not worthy of stating. Are the Souls games in the Elden Ring like Kingsfield from the OG PlayStation? I have no idea. I'm not a YouTuber, huh? I got into the CNT. There you go. Exhibit A, Exhibit B. There's plenty of people who have got in that has nothing to do with that. Hey, Lono, your Elden Ring class video was helpful. It answered my question on if classes actually matter after a few hours. No one ever actually answers that. It's always given me trouble when starting. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad you found that useful. I got in and I'm not a YouTuber? Wait a minute. Mo got in, Wheezy got in, MJ got in. I didn't get it. What's going on here? What is this? I thought I was invited to the barbecue. How'd that happen? That doesn't seem right. I don't understand what's happening. Sounds right, TBH, says Harry. Oh, we're being stupid. We're being stupid, but it's funny. It's funny. As your attorney, I advise you to stop this joke right now. Oh, man. Keep in mind, SkillUp had only played the front half of the game, 50 to 60 hours. He estimates a thorough playthrough will take about 100 or more hours. All I know is be back here at 6 p.m. for Elden Ring. First impression winning. That's right, baby. That's right, baby. 100 Elden Ring players will become Elden Ladies and Lords and win a piece of land in Scotland. Oh, that's cool. Lona was not invited because of the height requirement. That's right. That's right. Dear Mr. Your Honor. Biggest Souls game yet? Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. The back half of the game could indeed be more difficult. Invest in stories much? Why review and race to complete any game like this? Well, it doesn't sound like anybody raced. From my estimation, a lot of these people took a ton of time. Fextra Life took a ton of time. I mean, SkillUp put in 50 hours for his review. That doesn't sound like he raced to me. If we get Scotland, can we mess up in Glasgow? I don't know. I don't know what the official word on that is. Going live later tonight for Elden Ring? Yes, I am. So make sure you got that bell button pressed. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Make sure you're hanging out in the Discord. You can follow me on Twitter at Reforge Gaming. You'll get updated whenever we go live. You can hang out in our Discord, discord.gg/ReforgeTV. Plenty of great places and ways to not miss out on whatever we're doing and whenever we're doing it. Good games are easy to binge, which explains both the hour count and the scores. Yeah. I have heard 60 over 100 hours per review outlet, and none of the ones that were at 60 had finished the game. That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. Will you finish Horizon today? Yes. I saved the final mission for today's stream. I did one mission off stream last night. I'll give you guys a summary. It was pretty cool. It's when you get the first flying mount, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't setting myself up for failure trying to finish the game today. These people will not own land unless they can register it, which they can't because this falls under souvenir land, which can never be registered. So no, they are not giving people land. It's a physical NFT. I'd like to be here at 6, but I'm going in blind. I haven't seen anything intentionally. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. 60 to 80 hours is pretty standard for an open world game. How's the flying mount with the haptics? I gotta tell you, it was disappointing that the flying mount showed up so late, but it's worth it, and it makes sense why they didn't just hand you one really early. Because it would have made map clearing a little easy clap, and it would have made like world traversal very, very one-sided. So getting it late, I think, is good. You don't get the flying mount till the next to the last mission. Bummer. Hopefully what I just said comforts you, Reese's. I really think they made the right call. I do. I think it would have had a dramatic effect on the game if you were able to grab a flying mount, 20% in. Keep in mind, I got it, and according to the percentage completion in the stats, I'm like 38% in the game. So I've really beelined the main quest. I've really beelined it. Keep in mind, okay, you can do the same thing. Save a lot of that open world exploration. Save a lot of that map clearing, Get a little bit of ahead of the main quest and go to the main quest. And then once you get the flying mount, it's going to really, really help you with that aspect. I think it was a good choice. Like I said, I'm on the final mission and I'm 38% on completion. So there's a ton of stuff I have not done. A ton. Like more than 60% of the game. That's more than half the game that has not been completed, touched, or interacted with. You're at like 45 hours and just got Poseidon? Yeah. Eugene's playing very, very methodical, slow, like map clear, all that. Yeah. Yeah, for those asking, I'm going to go sword and board on my first playthrough. That's Vagabond. Where can you see the stats? I forget where I saw that. It's somewhere in the menu. I was in the menu and I scrolled over. It's in your notebook, I think. In your notebook. So you admit to being a casual Horizon Forbidden West player? Shut the frick up. I appreciate replayability if one game style's not working. Well, delete and start over. I wish I had the patience for map clearing. I think Horizon Forbidden West is going to fall into the same category for me that Spider-Man did. I think it's just enough that I want to do it. If it was any more, I wouldn't want to do it. But I think I might play Horizon off stream here and there. I never did that with Ghost of Tsushima, and I was supposed to do that too. Yo, what's good, Lono in stream? Say what's up to one of your fans, little James. He's watching you right now. Yo, what's good, little James? Well, you're probably not little anymore. You're probably pretty big. Probably a big boy. Because I know you probably take after your... Well, hopefully you take after your dad. Hopefully. Isn't your... Wait, am I thinking... I'm thinking of Fonz. Is your girl short, James? Got to get that height. Got to get that height going so you can play ball. Nothing really on Horizon Forbidden West been talked on. Oh, I muted. Somebody tell me when he's done talking Forbidden West. Oh, I'm not getting into spoilers or story or anything. Ghost of Tsushima co-op game is free in March. Yeah, it's free in March, and they're adding a raid, and they're adding some more two-player missions. Yeah, grab that Ghost of Tsushima Legends next month. Well worth getting. Won't be playing Elden Ring, but I voted for the algorithm. Oh, thank you. For the algorithm. Tell you what, if you guys show up tonight and you don't want to see any spoilers, you can always watch for, 5 minutes and mute it. Wife's about 5'8", so he should be pretty tall. Oh, yeah, so she's tall for a woman. That's pretty tall. Yeah, because I'm 5'6", so she's got 2 inches on me. Yeah. I thought you were I might be thinking of Fonz. I thought you were pretty tall too, James, weren't you? I know Fonz is a giant. He's like a giant. And then both his girl and his daughter are like super short. He like towers over them. Will Elden Ring have DLC? We have no idea. They've not officially stated anything about it. Got myself a crispy tempura chicken sandwich with salad and sriracha mayo. Thoughts? I like all of it. I like all that. The sriracha mayo sounds fantastic. My wife makes a lo mein and she puts sriracha in it. It's so good. You're 6'3"? Yeah. Tall guy. How old is he now, James? So we would have been playing Modern Warfare 10 years ago. What is he? Is he 12? Is he 12 or 13, right? Is that how old he is now? How long ago was that? My gosh. I was working for... I quit there 2002, 2003. That would have been... No! He's 9. Okay. He's 9. So he was 1, and we were playing 8 years ago, it would have been then. Because he was like 1 year old when we were playing. And he was getting into the lotion and all that. I thought that was 10 years ago. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have been 10 years ago. If he's 9. Yeah, the flying mount on the haptics, Fuzzy, it's good. It's good. It feels good. I think it works really well. I think it looks really good. For all you playing Souls game for the first time in Elden Ring, try going solo first. Don't get disheartened if you get your butt kicked. Overcoming the challenge is part of the experience. Yeah, I would agree with that. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I hated the third chapter of the raid in Ghost of Tsushima. You know, it was news to me that there were even raids in there. I was like, I didn't know there were raids in Ghost of Tsushima. And people were like, oh no, yeah, they've been in there since when they added Legends. I was like, what? I didn't know that. You've avoided the Horizon gameplay, but you're here for all the Elden Ring. I appreciate that, Zubair. I understand skipping out on the Horizon gameplay. There's some pretty cool stuff that happens in the story that you wouldn't want to see. If you're playing through it and you care about the story, then it makes perfectly good sense to skip streams. 100%. 100%. All right, I'm going to quickly take a break and use the restroom. We are just absolutely hemorrhaging folks right now. People are on their way out because we've kind of moved on from the main subject. I totally get that. If you're leaving because we're not really talking Elden Ring anymore, you've kind of gotten your fill. Just make sure you're subscribed with the bell button. We do this Monday through Friday. We cover games. Very lively talk show, very interactive. Make sure you tune in tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern. I'll be playing Elden Ring. We're going to keep the discussion going. I'm going to stretch my legs and use the restroom. You might see some ads. Don't forget all of the commands down here. You can type these commands in chat, ! Epic for my code, or shirt, or coffee, or whatever, display. Those are ways to support the channel directly. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you smash that like button. Those are free ways to help out. And then there are direct ways to support what I do as well, including when advertisements roll like this. Okay? I'll be right back. Oh. Oh. Somebody says, wow, Co is having some PC issues. Yeah. It's a known thing. It is a known thing. It sucks this drops tomorrow. Might have been worth covering. Select your 4 weapons of choice. Babylon's Fall demo hits PS4 and PS5 tomorrow. Progress transfers for the full game when it hits March 3rd. Okay. We might be able to do a first look on that, though. I'm going to go... I'm putting that somewhere else for me for later. We have a couple of channels. We have Reforge updates, which is just little short 4-minute updates. It's what I do at the beginning of the VOD, but sometimes it gets stuff that we don't cover over here. So Reforge updates is a great channel if you just like real quick 4-minute news segments. And then we have another channel that's very new called Reforge First Look. which is first looks at games. And so right now there's a bunch of videos over there looking at the Lost Ark classes, and then a first look at Horizon Forbidden West, first 20 or 30 minutes. And then when something like that happens, like Babylon's Fall, like the demo, I can't stream everything that happens, but I can always off stream, download the game, play 20 or 30 minutes, see what it's like, and upload it to Reforge First Look. So if you want to support all of our channels, our big channel that has almost 50,000 subscribers is sort of in limbo right now, and we know a lot of you guys are members over there. We'll have forthcoming announcements about what we're going to do with that channel. I think everybody's going to be very happy with the decisions that we're making, but we're not in a position to go over there and stream. And I know we were doing like shoutcasting and stuff, and people were really enjoying it. We're just not in a position to do that right now because of Elden Ring and Horizon, and just this channel over here is just unstoppable. And so we think that channel over there can also be really, really good and in a good lane and a good place. But we're going to have to make a couple adjustments before that starts to happen. And that's all forthcoming. I think you guys are going to be very pleased with what we do. Where are we on time? Okay, we're good. So split screen is changing again. It's all going to be explained, and trust me, I know you guys have trusted me all this time. Just trust that what we did over here worked because we just did it and everybody bought in, okay? And the same thing's going to happen over there. We're just going to do it, and if folks buy in, then it'll be great. We came over here in September and we just did it. We didn't go back on it. We didn't hesitate. We just did it. We changed a little bit from like one topic, multi-topic a couple of times, but in general, we've just been doing a talk show over here since September, and look at the results, right? And very, very, very similar over there. We're just going to do some stuff, and I think if you guys buy in, I think you're going to want to buy in. I think you guys are going to like it. Then same thing. The same thing will happen. We'll do it for a couple of months, and then we'll see the results. So the fact that you guys are double dipping and supporting has been amazing. We're really hoping that like gifted membership can land over here, because we're just consistently losing over there, which makes sense. We've made big changes. It's not even getting content right now. We unlisted 13 million views worth of content because of the change and the new direction, and understandably, we lost a lot of support because of that. And to be quite honest, we needed that to happen. We need those people to leave the channel. The people that were watching all the old content. That's just the nature of it. And so, in a very, very similar fashion, that channel I think is gonna do well if we just commit and go. I've already bought in. Shame ICCA wasn't working out. Yeah. There's a variety of things that weren't working out, and we'll talk about that when we finally go over there and we'll probably do that next week. We'll have time next week to do that, I think, to go over and be like, all right, so here's everything we learned, and here's everything that we've been doing, and here's what we're going to do going forward. That'll kind of be how we frame it. Because we made some significant changes. We got a solid month or more in, and learned a lot. So, yeah, I think people will be very pleased when we finally outline it. And there's some other things too that could potentially happen that would be very exciting if they do. And we're having a lot of conversations, a lot of strategizing in the background right now, and I think it's all going to be very good. Let me go here. Let's do this and that and that. Yo, Gritter, my man, with 12 months, a whole year. Elden Ring tomorrow, can't wait. We're gonna be playing Elden Ring. Just so you guys know, we're playing Elden Ring today at 6 p.m. Eastern. So make sure you're doing the thing. Make sure you are here for that. Okay. Make sure you're here for that. We're gonna be doing the thing. We're just gonna go into the first couple hours. There we go. Yeah, I'll be able to play at 6 p.m. because PC is able to play it at 6 p.m. So that's why we'll be jumping in there. The Elden Ring release date is officially Friday. So if you're playing console, you can play midnight your time zone. All right. If you're on PC, you can play anywhere in the world. As soon as it hits 6 p.m. Eastern, you can play on PC. That's because that's when New Zealand hits midnight. So as soon as New Zealand hits midnight, anybody can play the game. That's just how they do it on PC launches sometimes. They should be able, typically in these instances, as soon as that time hits, clicks over, then anybody can play. Now, some games don't do that, right? Some games don't do that. Some games do a rolling server launch if it's like an online game, or rolling regional launch. Like we won't let you download the game, or it won't turn on. Like the Steam will just tell you no. What's good is very few mention of the other game last few days. The Shackle is free. Oh yeah. I'm telling you. That was one of the reasons we wanted to drop the old moniker, because I was like, I don't want to be sitting here trying to cover Horizon Forbidden West and trying to cover Elden Ring and having all these people coming in and asking me about that. And I think y'all helped with that. I think the new community, I think FromSoftware as a fan base has really helped with that. I think I've really grown to cherish the FromSoftware community for that. Just the insulation and the support. Like they've really kind of wrapped their arms around me, as well as the rest of you that have been here for a very, very long time. And I also think the rebrand helped with that, because people are just like, if they're looking for that moniker, if they're looking for that show, it's gone. And that was one of the reasons. I told Creature, I said, we're doing it. I said, we've got to. I said, we need, but I said, February is just going to be way too big to be carrying that around like a ball and chain dragging behind us. We're still here. We just don't mention it. I know a ton of you are still around. That's what I mean. Like, it's twofold, right? That's why I started with you guys. I think you guys have really led the charge, and like, you shut that down. Even if it tries to get a whisper in the chat, you're like, And then I think the FromSoftware community has kind of come in and really bolstered and said, no, we're here for Elden Ring, bro. The world is bigger than that game. Let's talk about this other game. Someone please enlighten me. I used to cover Destiny almost exclusively, and we no longer cover it. Full stop. Just don't cover it. Don't play it. Don't touch it. Like, we have community members that still continue to play it. We have a section in the Discord dedicated to it if people want to connect and LFG it up and raid and all that other stuff. We have sections in the Discord for Halo Infinite, for Lost Ark, for Elden Ring. And so we've continued to give people that place to play, but I don't cover the game. So yeah, Diaz, I know it's good. I've read the same tweets every time new content comes out. I've read the same tweets every time, I'll read similar tweets from similar talking heads in a month about all the things last time. So I'm happy that people are happy. I'm disconnected from it, so I can kind of laugh about all of it. I'm like, yeah, I've read these tweets before. The best it's ever been. Yeah, you've said this before. And I'm sure it's true right now. I'm sure. Like, I'm not being cynical. I bet you $10 it's true. We ever go back? No. New World. Yeah, oh, that's right. New World has a spot in Discord. There's they just did something, didn't they? They just did an update, did they not? Has Lost Ark been put on the shelf as well? Going to be out of rotation for a while. I'm still logging in and donating to the guild because there are plenty of people. There are plenty of people that have like continued to play. Like they're not doing Forbidden West, they're not doing Elden Ring. So our Lost Ark guilds are still going. And I still log in every day and donate my silver and like help out the guild. And Lost Ark will get rotated back in once we get into a rhythm with Elden Ring. So that's how we're gonna do it. I finally uninstalled. Yeah, everybody's all over the spectrum on it. You know what I mean? You know, I'm not hyperbolic. It's amazing, but I won't talk about it. Yeah, it's amazing right now. It's amazing right now. Scalability, elasticity, and longevity have always been their where they trip. So, in 2 or 3 months, we'll see how they maintain it all, and how they do it again, and how they do it again, and how they do it again. Like, that's always the question. That's always the question, right? And if that's what the game is, then that's good too. If it's great for 2 months and then everybody kind of sits around and waits again, and then it's great again for like a month, good. But telling you, give it time. Always with that, always with them, always with their decisions and their implementation. Give it time. There will always be that rub. There will always be that rub of having to take stuff out and limited space and DCV and everything else. I have zero doubts that they'll hit some of the same snags they've always hit. No matter how high they reach, that's going to be an ongoing problem. It's an ongoing experiment, honestly. If you think in the realm of just pure, if you zoom out and remove bias and don't even talk about that game and you just talk about live service games in general, I think live service games are always going to struggle with that. They're always going to struggle with, like, it's amazing right now, and then the next thing they need to do, and the ongoing, like the bridge between the handshakes. If you picture it almost like a baton race, right? Baton races, man, that first person, they come straight out off the gun. They're just flying. And then the next person might not be as fast, and the baton handoff's got to be smooth, and then next person. Well, the way it typically goes with games, with live service games, is that first runner is like your fastest runner, right? Like, just bolts out, just takes off running and gets great time. And then they hand the baton off to the next person who's like B squad, right? They're just like B squad. They don't, whatever they do next is usually not going to be as good as what came first. So there's almost a natural immediate degradation. Almost immediate in every game. Every live service game has gone through this. They come out like a shot, like a cannon, and then the thing that comes to bolster it is, it just doesn't feel like it's good enough because this was so good and this doesn't feel as good. I think ongoing content like delivery is always going to struggle with this. You'll become a victim of your own success. If you absolutely nail a DLC, the seasons might feel weak in comparison and be more harshly judged. Is that fair? No. But I think this is always going to be the perils and the struggles of live service games, because how do you keep people playing? Well, give them more to do, okay? How do you keep people playing that feel like they've already got all the greats, you know, they already have all the better stuff? How are you going to incentivize ongoing engagement? Oh, we'll give them more stuff. Well, why is this stuff better? If it is better, is it undercutting everything they just did? Are you going to create a player cynicism where it's like, why am I spending all these hours investing and currencies if it's just going to be undercut by the new content, right? Why am I going to chase the new thing? Why am I going to go into the new country? Like, let's say, Lost Ark adds a bunch of whole new areas and continents and stuff. It's like, well, why am I going to go there? Oh, well, there's new stuff. Well, is it better than my current stuff? Yes. Well, then why did I spend all this time doing this? Because now I need to go and get all the new stuff. This is going to be a challenge for every live service game out there. When Assassin's Creed Infinity drops, they'll face the exact same challenges. These challenges don't go away just because you have a good release. That's the facts. These challenges don't evaporate just because you have a good release. You can have an amazing DLC. Think contextually inside that game. Nobody was complaining during the first 2 weeks of some of their best DLCs. Nobody. None of you were. I covered the game. I know. None of you were. And then the ongoing pains and the baton handoff has to happen and the ongoing pains hit. And then that's when the real dilemma arises. It's like, this is the reality of these games. Is that ongoing live service is always going to become a victim of its own success. Because whatever comes next is going to be compared to how great this was. You think the next DLC is going to be better than the one you just played? You think that's possible? Or do you think that's an unrealistic expectation that gamers have developed because of the metamorphosis principle that I've outlined before? In 12 months, what do you think a lot of people are going to be saying? It's not as good as that. Not as big, not as great, not as tectonic, not as influential. Any ongoing... See, because what happens is that... Think of it in the realm of one-off games. Like if God of War Ragnarok is an all-star game, that's all it needs to do. It needs to move the bar a little bit. Like Horizon Forbidden West, it needed to move the bar on world size, combat, facial animation, story, graphics, and they did that, and then everybody claps. And they should. But you're not necessarily playing Horizon Zero Dawn for 3 years and then just walking into Forbidden West. You're playing Zero Dawn and then putting it down and not touching it for years and then picking up Forbidden West. Do you see the difference? So what ends up happening is there's this interwoven expectation that every single time you add content to this game, it better blow my dadgum mind. It better be as substantive. It better be as quality. It better be as value laden. And if it's not, it'll be harshly judged. That's why I think live service games are facing a unique challenge. They're judged, and you know this is true, they're judged way more harshly than other games. We used to always debate that about that game. They're judged way more harshly because of the way that people engage with them. So in 12 months, I'll be asking you the question, is it better than the last one? Because if it's not, that'll be the mark, that'll be the comparison, that'll be the bar. It's not as good as the last DLC. Really disappointing. Didn't get my money's worth. Not as exciting, not as long, not as excellent, not as awesome. The vapor leaves the room always. Always. So yeah, clap and cheer and play and talk about how this is the greatest it's ever been. And you're probably right. You're probably right. But the seasons in between and the DLC that comes next is going to have to face down that barrel and face down that guillotine of, if we fall short of this, significant challenge. What are your thoughts on mostly incomplete playthroughs for Elden Ring? We know review in progress is an option. Why not this game? I know the answer, but should it be changed? Oh, I see what you're saying, Russell. That's an interesting question. I think... Oh, golly. Okay, I got my thoughts. I think the way that you judge a game is in its genre. And I think games like Returnal and FromSoftware games do not need to be beaten exhaustively or in a completionist way or even A to B. I don't think you have to do that in order to claim that the review is legitimate. Right? They don't need to play all the way through and see the conclusion and see the final cutscene in order to give you a review of the game. I don't think so. I don't, because I don't think that's required to judge the game on its merits and its parts. If you're talking about a purely narrative-driven game like Forbidden West, or even like a game like Ghost of Tsushima or Spider-Man or something, God of War Ragnarok, narrative-driven action-adventure games, I think in those games the expectation is, well, you better play the game to completion if you're going to judge it, because I want to know. Did the story conclude in a satisfying way? Did they rush the ending? Was the ending stupid? Was the ending annoying? Did they pull a subvert the player's expectations crap like rabbit out of a hat? Why? Because the game's quality is intrinsically linked to the story. I don't think that's as true in Elden Ring. Like, I don't think it's as true. I don't think that you're going to get to the end of Elden Ring and be like, you know, my entire mind has been changed about this game now because, you know, all those reviewers didn't get all the way to the end, and if they would have thought very differently. I think some of it comes down to trust. I think there's a general trust in the reviewers that the game isn't going to completely change itself into something else at the end of the game. That would be super odd. It would be super odd for it to just completely and utterly change itself at the end. So I think what you're saying is a good point, but I don't think it's like a repudiation of the reviews. Like, well, because you didn't play the game to completion, we can't trust. Horizon Forbidden. I don't think I've ever seen a lore conversations around Souls games in here. I sometimes ask about it. It depends on who's here. There are guys that have done a good job, like injecting lore when it's you know, the right time. Just tune in from lurking. What's the version of Elden Ring performance? I have a PC and a PS5. Where should I play it? It honestly sounds like what most folks are doing is they are if you're playing it on you know, PC, you don't have much of a choice, but folks are playing it on the PS4 version on the PS5 is like the most stable. PC's got issues with frame timing. None of the platforms are hitting consistent frame rate. None of them. Unfortunately. None of them are hitting consistency on frame rate. So a lot of people are concerned about that. The day one patch has fixed some of it, but not all of it. According to Digital Foundry, you better stay with the PS4 version. Yeah, you play the PS4 version on your PS5, apparently, to get the best performance. We'll be playing PC this evening. Okay, let me get out of studio mode. And let me do this. Oh no, this one. This is where we're going to be. Okay, so we're going to be switching to this. Now, if you guys come over and hang out for give me 1 or 2 minutes of your time. I won't even play the game. I'll just sit and talk for just a little bit as we go into the final mission, because I'm going to recap why I skipped a mission off stream, and that'll support that video. I know a lot of you don't want spoilers, so we are about to switch, and it should redirect. If it doesn't redirect you, there'll be a link in chat. This is our first complete playthrough of a game on this channel outside of Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro, so we appreciate everybody that's been supporting these videos and helping them perform well. Thank you for a killer morning talking Elden Ring. We're very excited. I hope I see a ton of you here tonight at 6 p.m. when we play. All right, let me start the next stream. Hey, thanks for clicking on the video. This is going to be part 9 and should be the completion of my playthrough of Elden Ring, of Horizon Forbidden West. We've been covering Elden Ring a lot. Of Horizon Forbidden West as we obviously get ready for Elden Ring. And this is going to be the conclusion of the main quest. I did play the second to last main quest off stream. I wanted to make sure I had time to beat this on stream, okay? The second to last main quest is